Chapter 1673. Chapter 1673. Chapter 1673 Sway. Although his primordial spirit battle physique's cultivation was only at the 9th grade Earth Supreme Realm, he could already contend with ordinary initial heavenly sovereigns after occupying An Qianhao's body. However, Ningyu was obviously not very satisfied with this result. In Ningyu's view, as long as he could connect the saint's arm to the primordial spirit battle physique, then the fighting power of the primordial spirit battle physique would definitely reach the middle phase heavenly sovereign realm. Gotcha. Ningyu was not an indecisive person. Without any hesitation, he immediately attached the sage's arm to the left arm of his essence soul battle body. Chi. In order to make the sage's arm perfectly fit with the essence soul battle body, Ningyu released all the soul power in his body and did not dare to be careless. About half an hour later, Ningyu slowly exhaled a mouthful of turbid air, and an excited expression appeared on his face. Fortunately, the saint's arm was suppressed by the crystal coffin, causing its aura to drop to the 5th grade Earth Supreme Realm. Otherwise, with the current strength of Ningyu's soul energy, he wouldn't be able to reattach the primordial spirit battle physique. Thank you, Master. The primordial spirit battle body cupped its fists and knelt on one knee in front of Ningyu. It said in a deep voice, "I will definitely listen to Master's instructions. If Master asks me to go east, I will definitely not go west. As long as Master—" All right. I didn't expect you to know how to flatter someone the moment you gained consciousness. Ningyu rolled his eyes. Go into the storage ring first. You can't come out without my permission. Yes. The primordial spirit battle body responded. Then, it flashed and went into the storage ring. Wait, put this on. Seeing that the primordial spirit battle physique was about to enter the storage ring, Ningyu shook his wrist and hurriedly tossed the holy myriad ghost flag into the primordial spirit battle physique. Although the rank of the 10,000 spirit sacred flag was not low, it was no longer necessary for Ningyu. After all, the primordial soul battle body's combat prowess had reached the mid-stage sky supreme level. In the future, if he encountered any essence soul or soul attacks, he could use his essence soul battle body to deal with them. In terms of martial Dao strength, the primordial spirit battle physique's cultivation was at the pinnacle of the 9th grade Earth Supreme Realm, and its combat prowess was comparable to a mid-heavenly supreme realm. In terms of the primordial spirit, not even a pinnacle heavenly sovereign could escape the pursuit of the primordial spirit battle physique. Gotcha. The primordial spirit battle physique immediately stopped when it saw the 10,000 spirit sacred flag flying toward it. It opened its mouth and swallowed the 10,000 spirit sacred flag. Burp. After swallowing the holy flag of 10,000 ghosts, the nascent soul battle body burped before disregarding the astonished expressions of the Dark Emperor and the others and disappearing into his storage ring. Gulp. Only when the soul battle physique vanished did the Dark Emperor gulp and say, Ningyu, isn't this soul battle physique a little too terrifying? What surprised the Dark Emperor was not that the essence soul battle body had swallowed the 10,000 ghosts' sacred flag. Instead, the essence soul battle body possessed an independent consciousness. The Dark Emperor knew how terrifying an essence soul battle body with an independent consciousness was. The Dark Emperor knew that even though he was a pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign, his primordial spirit battle physique was also at the 9th grade Earth Sovereign realm. However, if the two of them fought, the primordial spirit battle body would definitely defeat him. What has his terror got to do with you? Do you want to spar with him? Ningyu asked as he looked at the Dark Emperor. No, I don't want to spar with him. The Dark Emperor immediately shook his head and said, I'm the great sky-devouring hound, and he's only a primordial spirit battle body. I won't lower myself to his level. Rumble. As soon as the Dark Emperor finished his words, the entire crystal coffin began to tremble. The trembling grew more intense. What's going on? The faces of Ningyu and the rest changed drastically. According to the frequency of the trembling, there was a high chance that it would explode soon. The crystal coffin was a terrifying artifact. If it exploded, it would be impossible for Ning Yu and the rest to survive. We have to leave this place before the crystal coffin explodes. Ning Yu immediately made the decision to blast the crystal coffin open with brute force. Although he knew that it was a stupid idea, Ning Yu did not have the luxury of time to think about it. If they couldn't leave before the crystal coffin exploded, they would definitely die. Heaven slashing! Ning Yu gathered the essence energy in his body on his wrist and struck out. Boom! A gigantic flying sword phantom instantly soared into the sky and exploded in midair. The terrifying devouring power swallowed all the air in the surroundings. Unfortunately, even if Ning Yu executed heaven slashing, he was still unable to break the crystal coffin. Ning Lu, give me the black dragon sword. Although heaven slashing did not break the crystal coffin, Ning Yu did not give up. He wanted to borrow the black dragon sword to execute the supreme 9 purities sword art. The black dragon sword was the artifact that Qianhao used. There was a 5-clawed black dragon on it, and there was also the black dragon sword Qi inside. Heaven slashing was unable to break the crystal coffin, but it did not mean that the supreme 9 purities sword art could not. Here, Ning Lu was well aware of their current situation. Without hesitation, he immediately threw the black dragon sword to Ning Yu. But, catching the black dragon sword, Ning Yu forced out a drop of essence blood and entered the black dragon sword along with a wisp of his soul power. As Ning Lu had erased the imprint that Qianhao had left in the black dragon sword, Ning Yu could easily control the black dragon sword. Birth Sword Wave. Ning Yu wielded the black dragon sword and slashed out a terrifying sword wave in the air. Chi. The sword wave rubbed against the air and emitted a hissing sound. However, what happened next made Ning Yu a little dumbfounded. The birth sword wave was indeed powerful, and it was complemented by the black dragon sword Qi. However, the crystal coffin did not break. Instead, it shook more and more violently. Ning Lu, Dark Emperor, Rock Beetle Leader, Furball, Zhao Lin, come over and help me. We must break the crystal coffin today. Ning Yu gritted his teeth and waved the black dragon sword again. Don't mess around. At this moment, a powerful voice suddenly rang out in this area. Swoosh. Following that, a black figure suddenly appeared in front of Ning Yu and the others. Senior? Seeing the sudden appearance of the black-clothed martial artist, Ning Yu's mouth opened slightly, his face full of surprise. The black-clothed martial artist was none other than the mysterious powerhouse in the Tower of Ascension. When entering the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine, Ning Yu had tried to contact the black-clothed martial artist. Unfortunately, no matter how Ning Yu tried, he was unable to contact the black-clothed martial artist. Who could have expected that the black-clothed martial artist would appear at the most dangerous moment? You guys leave first. After the black-clothed martial artist appeared, he did not waste words with Ning Yu and the others. The black-clothed martial artist drew a line in the air with his right hand, and a crack immediately appeared in the space. It was obvious that passing through this spatial crack would allow one to leave the crystal coffin. Senior. Ning Yu looked at the black-clothed martial artist, revealing a grateful expression. The current situation was already very clear. If the black-clothed martial artist did not appear, Ning Yu and the others would definitely be trapped in the crystal coffin. Now that the black-clothed martial artist appeared, not only could they leave the crystal coffin, but they could also preserve their combat strength. One had to know that there were many powerhouses eyeing covetously outside the crystal coffin. Chapter 1674. Take advantage of the situation, don't be so wishy-washy. Hurry up and get lost. The black-clothed cultivator impatiently waved his hand at Ning Yu and said in a deep voice, "Remember what you promised me. I'll leave the little girl in the Yuzuan pagoda to you. If I find out that she's been wronged, I'll definitely take your life. Senior, don't worry. Even if I die, I won't let her suffer the slightest grievance. Ningyu looked at the black-clothed cultivator and nodded solemnly. He would definitely repay the debt of saving his life. Moreover, this was not the first time the black-clothed martial artist had helped him. Protecting the little girl in the pagoda of Yuzuan, Ningyu was duty-bound. The black-clothed cultivator's tone softened slightly as he said, "It's not that I'm pressuring you, but the background of that little girl in the Tower of Yuzuan is simply too shocking. If anything happens to her, the consequences are not something you can bear." In the next moment, the black-clad cultivator flicked his sleeves and tossed a jade bottle to Ningyu. In the jade bottle, there were 3 drops of red blood. These 3 drops are true dragon blood. Each drop can temporarily raise your strength by a large level. After saying this, the black-clothed cultivator waved his hand. Immediately, a terrifying gust of wind blew, blowing Ningyu and the others into the spatial crack. Outside the crystal coffin, Gao Jingde and Di Feng had stopped long ago. As the crystal coffin shook, Gao Jingde and Di Feng's gazes landed on it. No one dared to breathe loudly. All their attention was focused on the crystal coffin, fearing that they would be too slow when the crystal coffin was opened. "I wonder how Ningyu is doing." Among the crowd, Hu Wentian was the most nervous one. He had brought 10 nine-tailed foxes from Foxman Valley here. If Ningyu and the others died in the crystal coffin, then his fate would be sealed. Although he wouldn't die, he would definitely become the target of public criticism. Even now, all the cultivators in the Great Hall had begun to distance themselves from him. Gao Jingde led a group of warriors to form a camp. 100-armed Devil led a group of warriors to form another camp. Imperial Peak also led a group of warriors to form another camp. Only Hu Wentian led 5 nine-tailed demon foxes to form a camp. Initially, when Hu Wentian entered the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine, he brought 10 nine-tailed demon foxes with him. However, after a series of battles, only 5 of the 10 nine-tailed demon foxes remained. If there was another battle, the remaining 5 nine-tailed demon foxes would definitely die. "They're out." Suddenly, a martial artist pointed at the crystal coffin and shouted. This martial artist's voice pulled Hu Wentian back from his thoughts. "Walla!" He looked in the direction of the voice. The space above the crystal coffin suddenly split open. Then, several figures dashed out from the crack. Ningyu. Seeing the figures coming out of the crack, all the cultivators in the hall widened their eyes in disbelief. However, this shock was short-lived. "Ha ha ha, Ningyu, I want you to die." Imperial Peak, who was closest to Ningyu, lifted his head and laughed maniacally. His body was like a sharp sword as he punched at Ningyu's head. Imperial Peak's idea was simple. He wanted to kill Ningyu. After pondering for a period of time, Imperial Peak knew why his plan had failed. It was obvious that the plan had failed because Ningyu was here. Imperial Peak vented all his hatred on Ningyu. "You're still alive this time." As he got closer to Ningyu, Imperial Peak's expression became more and more ferocious. However, before Imperial Peak's fist could land on Ningyu's head, the space beside Ningyu suddenly split open. A figure stood in front of Ningyu. The figure threw a punch, and it collided with Di Feng's fist. Crack! The 2 fists collided. The sound of bones breaking resounded. Then, everyone saw 2 figures retreating rapidly. "What? This is impossible. Who is he?" The sudden change caused everyone's expressions to change drastically. The reason why everyone was shocked was that the development of the situation was different from what they had imagined. Ningyu wasn't among the 2 figures that were sent flying. One was Imperial Peak and the other was a stranger. Grade 9 Earth Sovereign? After stabilizing himself, Imperial Peak sensed the cultivation base of the martialist beside Ningyu and was instantly dumbfounded. What was wrong with this world? He was a pinnacle heavenly supreme, yet he couldn't even finish off a Grade 9 Earth Sovereign with 50% of his strength. If this matter were to spread out, where would he put his face? War God and... In the hall, besides Imperial Peak, The other two were even more shocked. The 100-armed ghost demon and the fat old man. The two of them were in the demon spirit realm. Their objective in entering the Saint-grade crystal mine vein was to save Qianhao. Now that Qianhao was standing before them and seemed to have a good relationship with Ningyu, how could they not be shocked? How could they not be shocked? Oh right. How could I forget about this? Seeing the changes in the expressions of the 100-armed ghost demon and the fat old man, Ningyu had a countermeasure in his heart. Whether it was the 100-armed ghost demon or the fat old man, they definitely had a trump card. If he could make use of their respect for Qianhao and make them become enemies with Imperial Peak, it would be a good strategy. Ningyu immediately sent a voice transmission to the primordial spirit battle physique, telling him what to do next. As the consciousness of the primordial spirit battle physique wasn't very stable, Ningyu had to explain for a dozen seconds before the primordial spirit battle physique understood. Damn it, you're good at bootlicking, but why are you so stupid? Ningyu broke into a cold sweat. These dozen seconds could be the most difficult time for Ningyu. Firstly, he had to explain to the primordial spirit battle physique. Secondly, he had to guard against the sudden attack from the 100-armed ghost demon and Imperial Peak. Both of you come here. The primordial spirit battle physique took a step forward and pointed at the 100-armed ghost demon and the fat old man. He said in a deep voice, "Why didn't the infamily send anyone but you two small fries?" As he spoke, the primordial spirit battle physique transferred all the energy in his body to his left arm, which revealed a terrifying aura. Puss. Although the aura of the primordial spirit battle physique's left arm disappeared in a flash, it still made the faces of the martial artists in the hall change, and they gasped. The aura of a sage. The martial artists who could survive until now weren't stupid, and they all had some skills. They knew very well that the aura that the primordial spirit battle physique's left arm gave out was the aura of a sage and not a half-sage. And family is preparing to attack the other big regions. So they sent us to save you. The 100-armed ghost demon and the fat old man stuttered when they felt the aura of a sage. Chapter 1675. However, there were exceptions to everything. Di Feng stared at the left arm of the primordial spirit combat body and felt that something was amiss. Di Feng felt a familiar aura from the left arm of the primordial spirit combat body. One-armed man. That's right. Di Feng felt the aura of one-armed man. Di Feng knew that one-armed man was confronting a demonic spirit realm expert in the crystal coffin. As one-armed man had the arm of a sage, Di Feng didn't believe that one-armed man would lose. Could Ningyu be from demonic spirit realm too? Di Feng swept a glance at Ningyu and his heart sank to the bottom. If things were really as he thought, then the one-armed hero would be in grave danger. This matter, when I return to the infamily, I will naturally ask. On the other side, the primordial spirit combat body snorted and said, "Kill Di Feng for me." Kill Di Feng? The 100-armed ghost demon and the short and fat old man were stunned and looked at the primordial spirit combat body in confusion. The two of them were confused. Wasn't Qianhao a sage? If a sage wanted to kill a Peak Sky Supreme, he could do it with just a flick of his finger. Why did Qianhao want to use them to kill Di Feng? Could it be that the Qianhao in front of them was a fake Qianhao? The 100-armed ghost demon and the short and fat old man were cautious. They didn't attack Di Feng immediately but started to fight with the primordial spirit combat body. I'm only a late-stage Sky Supreme and the short and fat old man is only a middle-stage Sky Supreme. Even if we join forces, we won't be able to kill Di Feng. The 100-armed ghost demon said, "Godin, please take action and bring Di Feng to justice." Yeah, Battle Godin, you're the battle god of the clan. It's easy for you to kill that pinnacle heavenly sovereign from Imperial Peak. The short and plump elder added. Are you doubting me? The primordial spirit combat body's eyes turned cold as he berated. We wouldn't dare to. We only want God of War and to take action and get rid of Imperial Peak. The 100-armed ghost demon and the short and fat old man said in unison, as long as we get rid of Imperial Peak, all the elixirs in the crystal coffin will belong to demon spirit realm. Voila! The words of the 100-armed devil and the stout old man caused the atmosphere in the hall to become tense. Now that things had come to this, Gao Jingde and the others had cast aside their former enmity and chosen to stand on the same side. Even Emperor Feng came to Gao Jingde's side and fought alongside him. Kill! The primordial spirit glared at the 100-armed ghost and the short and fat elder. Then, his figure flashed and he dashed towards Imperial Peak. What should we do? The short and plump old man looked at the 100-armed devil and asked when he saw An Qianhao charging towards Imperial Peak. Wait! The 100-armed devil crossed his arms in front of his chest and spat out the word wait. Although the 100-armed devil felt that the person in front of her was a fake An Qianhao, she had no proof. Only by observing An Qianhao's fighting style would they be able to determine whether An Qianhao was real or not. If An Qianhao was real, she would naturally choose to help. If An Qianhao was fake, she would even help Emperor Feng and the others to deal with the fake An Qianhao. Kill. It was a pity. The development of the situation was completely out of the 100-armed devil's expectation. Before the primordial spirit could reach Emperor Feng, he turned his head and dashed towards her and the short and plump old man. The change obviously caught the 100-armed devil by surprise. The 100-armed devil didn't run away. Let's attack together. He isn't a sage. It's only his left arm that gives out the aura of a sage. As long as we attack together, we can definitely kill him easily. Emperor Feng took the lead while Gao Jingde and the others followed closely behind. Many experts took action and launched a powerful attack on the primordial spirit. As the primordial spirit was running towards the direction of the 100-armed devil and the short and plump old man, the 100-armed devil and the short and plump old man naturally became the target of everyone's attack. Rumble! There were all kinds of spells in the hall. D***eminent. Hurry up and stop. Don't let him. The 100-armed devil was upset to be besieged by everyone out of the blue. She hurried to explain. However, Emperor Feng and the others were already raging and they couldn't listen to the 100-armed devil's explanation. The more the 100-armed devil explained, the angrier they got and the more they wanted to kill the 100-armed devil. Fight! The 100-armed devil and the short and plump old man judged the situation and felt that it was impractical to beg for mercy. They could only fight with their lives to have a chance of survival. Rumble! However, just as the 100-armed devil and the short and plump old man wanted to fight with their lives, there was a rumble from the crystal coffin nearby. The rumble was getting louder and louder. It caused all the warriors in the hall to stop. Everyone fixed their eyes on the crystal coffin and didn't dare to be negligent. At this moment, everyone had the same thought. As long as the crystal coffin was opened, everyone would rush forward to snatch the treasures and elixir pills. At such a tense moment, some of the warriors communicated telepathically to discuss cooperation. Rumble! The crystal coffin didn't shake for long. 3 minutes later, the void above the crystal coffin cracked open. The crystal coffin turned into a shadow and flew into the crack. What? Seeing the crystal coffin fly away, all the warriors in the hall, except for Ning Yu and the Dark Emperor, screamed. Swoosh! Swoosh! Suddenly, 2 pinnacle sky sovereigns charged out and tried to pull the crystal coffin out of the crack. Taking a closer look, the 2 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns were Tang Mo and Tang Gu. Tang Mo's upper body was in the crack and Tang Gu was holding on tightly to his lower body. Brother, did you grab the crystal coffin or not? Tang Gu asked as he held on to Tang Mo. Tang Gu asked the same question that the warriors in the hall wanted to ask. Gao Jingde and the rest stared at Tang Mo anxiously as they wanted to hear good news from him. Got it. Hurry up and pull me out. Tang Mo said anxiously. All right. Tang Gu understood and hurriedly pulled Tang Mo out. However, no matter how hard Tang Gu tried, he couldn't pull Tang Mo out. It was as though there was a terrifying suction force that was pulling Tang Mo. What are you waiting for? Come and help. Tang Gu turned around and shouted at Gao Jingde and Di Feng in a hurry. Swoosh! Gao Jingde, Di Feng and the rest looked at each other and dashed out. They pulled Tang Gu and tried to pull Tang Mo out through him. No one was lazy and they used all their strength to pull Tang Mo out. After all, the crystal coffin was too attractive to them. They were willing to take any risk. In the hall, there were a few who didn't help. Ningyu knew how terrifying the crystal coffin was. Moreover, the warrior in black was in the crystal coffin, so they didn't help. Hu Wentian and the 5 nine-tailed foxes saw that Ningyu didn't help, so they didn't help. It was understandable that Ningyu and Hu Wentian didn't help because they knew the warrior in black was in the crystal coffin. Chapter 1676. Chapter 1676. Chapter 1676. Swallow it all up. He is indeed a formidable opponent. Seeing the 100-armed devil and the stout old man standing there calmly, Ning Yu's expression turned grave. The fact that the 100-armed devil and the middle phase heavenly sovereign realm could come here with their cultivation at the late phase and middle phase heavenly sovereign realm proved how terrifying they were. Furthermore, the two of them were in the demon spirit realm, so they definitely had their own trump cards. Once they were allowed to use their trump cards, the consequences would be unimaginable. Thinking of this, Ningyu secretly contacted Ning Lu and said in a deep voice, "If you suddenly attack, how confident are you that you can subdue the two of them?" "I have no confidence at all." Ning Lu shook his head and said, "Don't underestimate them just because their cultivation levels aren't high. Let me tell you, there's an energy fluctuation within their bodies that makes my heart palpitate." Energy fluctuation? Ning Yu's mind flickered, and he hastily unleashed his perception, carefully probing the 100-armed devil and the stout old man. Luckily, the 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man had placed most of their attention on Di Feng and the others. Otherwise, it would have been hard for them not to notice Ning Yu's detection. After a while, withdrawing his perception, Ning Yu's expression became extremely grave. Ning Lu was right. Within the bodies of the 100-armed devil and the stout old man, there was indeed an extremely terrifying energy fluctuation. If not for Ning Lu's reminder, he really wouldn't have discovered it. It could be said that the energy fluctuations within the bodies of the 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man were comparable to the energy fluctuations of a half-saint realm expert. What should I do? Ning Yu's eyes turned as he quickly thought of a countermeasure. Even though Di Feng, Gao Jingde and the rest had suffered from the backlash from the crystal coffin, the remaining 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man had no way to deal with them. After all, the 100-armed devil and the stout old man were the most dangerous existences in the hall. We must stop them from releasing the energy in their bodies. Ningyu quietly took out the jade bottle and held it tightly in his hand. There were 3 drops of true dragon blood in the jade bottle. Each drop could allow him to temporarily raise his cultivation by a large level. Right now, Ning Yu's cultivation was at the 5th grade Earth Sovereign Realm. According to Ning Yu's estimations, if he consumed a drop of the true dragon's blood, his cultivation would rise to the middle phase Heavenly Sovereign Realm. When he was at the 5th grade Earth Sovereign Realm, Ning Yu wasn't confident in stopping the 100-armed devil and the elder from releasing the energy within their bodies. But as long as his cultivation reached the middle phase Heavenly Sovereign Realm, Ning Yu was confident in stopping the 100-armed devil and the elder. Besides, Ning Yu had already made up his mind. If 1 drop of true dragon blood wasn't enough, he swallowed 2 drops. If 2 drops didn't work, he would swallow 3. 3 drops of true dragon blood could even allow Ningyu to raise his cultivation to the half-saint realm. Of course, devouring the blood of a true dragon was easier said than done. With the current strength of Ningyu's body, There was a high possibility that he would reach the critical point if he swallowed a drop of true dragon blood. However, in order to stop the 100-armed devil and the elder, Ning Yu decided to take the risk. "I'll help you one last time." However, just as Ning Yu was thinking about how to launch a sneak attack on the 100-armed devil and the elder, a vigorous voice suddenly came from the space crack. "Senior!" The sudden voice made Ning Yu's heart skip a beat. He quickly shifted his gaze to the space crack. Ning Yu was dumbfounded by what he saw. An even more terrifying devouring force suddenly burst out from the rift. Originally, half of Tang Mo's body was already in the crack. Now that the devouring power exploded again, 2/3 of Tang Mo's body was in the crack. Tang Mo's body being in the crack was secondary. Most importantly, the crack was shrinking rapidly. Di Feng and Gao Jingde, who were behind, were shocked to find that they couldn't escape. The devouring power that came from the crack was extremely terrifying. All of them felt as though their palms were nailed and they couldn't pull them back. D****. Tang-gu, what the f***ck are you doing? Hurry up and let go. If not, all of us will die. Let go my a***s. In my opinion, it's more practical to chop off Tang Mo's legs. Yes, chop off Tang Mo's legs. Then we can escape. In the face of danger, everyone suggested ideas. However, everyone's attention was focused on Tang Mo. All of you shut up. Tang Mo is my brother. No matter what, I won't give up on my brother. Tang Gu clenched his teeth and said coldly, "Tsk." As Tang Gu's cold voice rang out, a berserk devouring force once again emerged from the crack. Under the influence of the devouring power, everyone, with Tang Gu as the leader, felt the energy in their bodies decreasing rapidly. The speed at which their vitality was decreasing made everyone's heart palpitate. I see. Ning Yu nodded his head slightly as he saw Di Feng and the rest being troubled by the decreasing vitality in their bodies. He understood what the black-shirt warrior meant. The black-shirt warrior meant to help him one last time. He meant to use the crystal coffin to absorb all the vitality in Di Feng and the rest. In that case, Di Feng and the others would be lambs waiting to be slaughtered. They would be at his mercy. Stupid. Tang Gu isn't willing to sacrifice Tang Mo. You can chop off the legs of the person in front. The 100-armed devil rolled his eyes and said sinisterly, "It's better to rely on yourself than on others. Only by relying on yourself can you live an exciting life." The 100-armed devil's plan was vicious. On one hand, the 100-armed devil wanted to get rid of Di Feng and Gao Jingde. On the other hand, the 100-armed devil didn't want them to be devoured by the devouring power from the crystal coffin. The 100-armed devil wanted to devour Di Feng and the rest personally. To be honest, the 100-armed devil wasn't afraid of Ning Yu and the rest. He was confident that after Di Feng and the rest lost their fighting power, he would become the absolute overlord in the hall. Great plan. The 100-armed devil's words gave Di Feng and the rest hope. All of you stop. Let me chop off Tang Gu's legs. Di Feng turned his head and stared at Gao Jingde and the rest. Then, he mobilized all the vitality in his body and transformed it into a sword aura that slashed at Tang Gu's legs. Gao Jingde and the rest quietened down when Di Feng turned his head. Unless it was absolutely necessary, no one wanted to chop off the legs of the person in front of them. After all, their legs were being eyed by the person behind them. The ideal was plump, but the reality was harsh. Even though Di Feng mobilized all the vitality in his body, it was all for naught. Before the sword aura could touch Tang Gu's legs, it was swallowed by the devouring power that exploded from the crack. Oh no, we're doomed. Di Feng looked at everything that was happening in front of him blankly. In an instant, he looked 10 years older. Fight. Di Feng's failure didn't destroy Gao Jingde and the rest's hope. Instead, it made them even more determined. Everyone, including Gao Jingde, mobilized the vitality in their body and transformed it into sword aura that slashed at the legs of the warrior in front of them. Chapter 1677. True Dragon Blood Chi-Chi. The results were always shockingly consistent. Gao Jingde and company tried to circulate the essence energy in their bodies but failed as well. All of it was devoured by the devouring power that erupted from the rift. Bang! Once everyone's yuan qi had been devoured, the spatial crack closed up in an instant. Thump! The moment the spatial crack closed, the pull between the group and the cultivators in front instantly vanished, causing them to fall heavily to the ground. Go! Seeing Di Feng and Gao Jingde fall down, the 100-armed devil and the short, fat old man exchanged a glance. Then, they dashed towards Di Feng and Gao Jingde from two directions. Whoosh! Whoosh! 100-armed ghost demon and the short and fat old man moved forward at full speed. They wanted to take control of Emperor Feng and the rest before Ningyu could react. Hu Wentian, bring 5 nine-tailed demonic foxes to stop the 100-armed devil. Leave the stout old man to us. Ningyu wasn't as clueless as the 100-armed devil thought. On the contrary, Ningyu had already prepared a countermeasure. Di Feng, Gao Jingde and the rest's yuan qi vanished, making Hu Wentian the strongest warrior in the hall. Ningyu was not particularly worried about Hu Wentian leading the 5 nine-tailed demon foxes to deal with the 100-armed devil. Ningyu planned for him, Ning Lu, and the Essence Soul Battle Body to deal with the short and fat elder. As for Zhao Lin, Dark Emperor, Harry Ball and Ningyu, they were going to control Di Feng and the rest. This arrangement was the best way to deal with it. It won't be that easy to stop me. 100 Hands Devil. Hu Wentian was the first to clash with the 100-armed devil. This time, the 100-armed devil finally didn't hold back. She waved her hands repeatedly, and in a split second, hundreds of illusory palms appeared in front of her, all of which shot toward Hu Wentian. The reason why the 100 Hands Demon was called the 100 Hands Demon was because of her 100 Hands Demon. 100 Hands Devil transformation was the 100-handed devil's famous technique. It was said that the 100 Hands Demon had once used this move to kill a pinnacle heavenly sovereign, and now, the 100-armed ghost demon had actually managed to block the attacks of Hu Wentian and the 5 nine-tailed demon foxes. It was indeed amazing. However, Ningyu didn't have the time to marvel at the 100-armed devil's strength, because the short and stout old man's aura suddenly skyrocketed in an instant. In just a few seconds, the old man's aura had risen from the middle phase heavenly sovereign realm to the pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm. Bang! As a muffled sound rang out from within his body, the short and fat old man seemed to have broken through some kind of limit. His aura was actually still growing. Everyone, let's attack together. We can't let the old man's aura increase to the half-step saint realm. Ningyu's eyes narrowed when he sensed the short and fat old man's aura. He immediately took out a drop of true dragon blood and swallowed it. Rumble! The instant explosive power brought about by true dragon blood was something that no medicinal pill could compare to. In an instant, Ningyu's aura rose from the 5th grade Earth Sovereign Realm to the Heavenly Supreme Realm, and it continued to rise. Late Phase Heavenly Supreme Realm. Only when Ningyu's aura rose to the late phase Heavenly Supreme Realm did the terrifying amplification brought by the true dragon blood stop. Short and fat old man, today is the anniversary of your death. The boundless energy fluctuations in his body filled Ningyu with power. Yuan Qi surged under his feet. Raising his speed to the limit, Ningyu arrived in front of the short and fat old man in the blink of an eye. His fist carried a violent Yuan Qi gust of wind, fiercely slamming into the short and fat old man's cheek. Child's play. Looking at Ningyu, who was constantly charging at him, the short and stout old man did not take it to heart. In his opinion, even if Ningyu's aura rose to the late phase Heavenly Supreme Realm, it still wouldn't pose a threat to him. After all, he had detonated the energy in his body. Although the energy hadn't been completely absorbed, his cultivation had already reached the peak heavenly supreme realm and was infinitely close to the half-saint realm. Therefore, the short and fat old man didn't fear Ningyu. In Yang Palm, the short and stout old man's actions were completely seen by Ningyu. He saw Ningyu let out a low roar and his right fist turned into a palm, which fiercely collided with the short and fat old man's palm. But the two palms collided. A muffled sound rang out, and then the two figures rapidly retreated. How is this possible? In the process of retreating, the short and fat old man shook his slightly swollen palm with an exaggerated expression of shock on his face. In this exchange, he and Ningyu were evenly matched. The short and fat old man couldn't believe this result. He was a powerhouse that was infinitely close to the half-saint realm, but he was actually evenly matched with a late-stage, heavenly supreme realm cultivator. If this matter were to spread, where would he put his face? Brat, you can actually block 1/10 of my strength. In order to conceal the fact that he was evenly matched with Ningyu, the short and fat old man roared and charged out again. You won't be so lucky next. I've decided to use 2/10 of my strength to kill you. Noisy, Ningyu said coldly. Through the previous exchange, Ningyu basically determined the short and fat old man's strength. In a head-on confrontation, he indeed wasn't a match for the short and fat old man. However, it would also be extremely difficult for the old man to kill him in his current state. In fact, it was practically impossible for him to do so. You two go and help Hu Wentian. Leave the short and fat old man to me. Ningyu decided that he would deal with the short and fat old man, while Ning Lu and the Yuan Shin battle physique went to help Hu Wentian. The short and fat old man had already activated the energy in his body, so it was too late to stop him now. But the 100-armed devil was different. The 100-armed devil had relied entirely on his own strength to fight evenly with Hu Wentian. Ningyu let Ning Lu and the Yuan Shin battle physique help Hu Wentian because he was afraid that the 100-armed devil would activate the energy in his body again. Swish! Ning Lu and the Yuan Shin battle physique knew that they wouldn't be of much help even if they stayed. They immediately turned around and charged at the 100-armed devil. Black Dragon Sword. Seeing Ning Lu and the Yuan Shin battle physique charge at the 100-armed devil, Ningyu shook his wrist and took out the Black Dragon Sword. Ningyu didn't dare to be careless when dealing with the short and fat old man in his peak state. The short and fat old man's current cultivation level was infinitely close to half-sage. As long as Ningyu was slightly distracted, the short and fat old man would definitely seize the opportunity to kill him cruelly. Black Dragon Sword Chi. Ningyu injected the essence energy in his body into the Black Dragon Sword and instantly slashed out a terrifying sword beam. Chi. Chi. The friction between the sword beam and the air produced a sizzling sound. Whoosh! Not long after the sword beam flew out, Ningyu brandished the Black Dragon Sword again. This time, it wasn't a sword beam that flew out of the Black Dragon Sword. Instead, it was a gigantic black dragon phantom. The 5-clawed black dragon danced in midair before opening its mouth and spewing out flames. Chapter 1678. Chapter 1678, Trash. You're overestimating yourself. Looking at the approaching sword beam, the corner of the old man's lips rose into an arc. If the 5-clawed black dragon was a real dragon, then the old man might be afraid. But the 5-clawed black dragon was a black dragon silhouette. Facing the black dragon silhouette, the old man had no fear in his heart. It was so much so that the old man had already viewed the Black Dragon Sword in Ningyu's hand as his. Break! The old man flicked his wrist and a cold light shot out. Rumble! As the cold light and the sword light collided, a terrifying shockwave spread in all directions. Black Dragon Silhouette. Seeing that the old man had easily blocked his first move, Ningyu immediately yelled out. Roar! In the sky, the 5-clawed black dragon unleashed a dragon roar as it charged towards the old man. Humph. You want to kill me with a mere black dragon silhouette? Have you lost your mind? The old man coldly snorted as he waved his hands. In an instant, the space before him became extremely violent. The violent space had clearly made the five-clawed black dragon a little uncomfortable as it was briefly stunned. Die! The five-clawed black dragon's momentary daze had made it pay the price of blood. The short and stout old man tore through the void, and his whole body drilled into the void. In the next moment, the old man appeared before the five-clawed black dragon. Opening his mouth, a terrifying devouring power came from the old man's mouth. Whoosh! What happened next left Ningyu in shock. The five-clawed black dragon couldn't bear the devouring power. It only struggled for a second before it was devoured by the old man and refined. So powerful? Ningyu clearly did not expect the old man to be so powerful. Although the five-clawed black dragon's fighting strength wasn't at the pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm, it wasn't any weaker. Even the five-clawed black dragon was easily dealt with by the old man. Thus, one could tell how powerful the old man was. Something's wrong. Suddenly, Ningyu's pupils shrank as he stared at the short and fat old man. Ningyu sensed an even more terrifying aura from the short and stout old man. This aura is infinitely close to the half-saint realm. In other words, after the short and stout old man swallowed the five-clawed black dragon, his strength rose again, and the energy in his body was about to be completely released. Ningyu was well aware that the old man's strength would definitely rise to the level of a half-step saint once he fully released the energy within his body. A half-step saint would probably be able to kill Ningyu in one move. Could it be that I have to devour another drop of true dragon blood? Ningyu's eyes flickered as he struggled with his thoughts. A drop of true dragon blood allowed his cultivation to temporarily rise from the 5th grade Earth Sovereign Realm to the late Heavenly Sovereign Realm. If it was 2 drops of true dragon blood, Ningyu was confident that he could raise his cultivation to the pinnacle Heavenly Supreme Realm. Screw it! Turning his head to look at the other side of the battlefield, Ningyu gritted his teeth and swallowed the second drop of true dragon blood. Rumble! As soon as the true dragon blood entered his stomach, Ningyu immediately felt his insides churning, and his internal organs were tormented to the point of pain. Fortunately, the pain didn't last for long and he quickly recovered. At the same time, Ningyu's cultivation also rose from the late Heavenly Supreme Realm to the pinnacle Heavenly Supreme Realm. Crack! However, in order to withstand the backlash from the true dragon blood, Ningyu didn't hesitate to burn his blood essence and soul force to resist it. With every passing second, Ningyu's blood essence and soul force would decrease a little. After all, with Ningyu's current strength and body, he couldn't withstand the backlash from 2 drops of true dragon blood. True dragon blood. Gulp. When Ningyu swallowed the first drop of true dragon blood, the short and fat old man didn't notice it. Now that Ningyu swallowed the second drop of true dragon blood, and his aura skyrocketed, it immediately attracted the short and fat old man's attention. When the short and fat old man discovered that Ningyu had swallowed the true dragon blood, he became uncomfortable and even stuttered when he spoke. Vex. That's right, Vex. True dragon blood was a priceless treasure. Every drop of true dragon blood was greatly beneficial to his cultivation. Such a precious true dragon's blood was actually devoured by Ningyu, this weak martial artist. It was truly unbearable for an uncle to tolerate. Not only was the short and fat old man vexed, but he also became irritable. The irritable short and fat old man didn't wait for the energy in his body to be completely released, and he quickly charged at Ningyu. Just in time. Ningyu floated in midair, and his eyes turned blood-red. At this moment, a drop of dark gold blood suddenly appeared in Ningyu's heart. After the dark gold blood appeared, it instantly flowed throughout Ningyu's body, causing Ningyu's blood to become even more special. Divine War Body. In order to defeat the short and fat old man, Ningyu directly used the Divine War Body. Not only was Ning Yu's blood dark gold in the divine war body state, even his skin and hair were dark gold. What? You actually have the divine war body? The short and fat old man's eyes widened, and his face was filled with disbelief. After swallowing the 2 drops of true dragon blood, Ning Yu's cultivation had risen from the late-stage Sky Supreme to the peak Sky Supreme. The short and fat old man wasn't afraid of ordinary peak Sky Supreme martial artists. However, if that peak Sky Supreme martial artist had the divine war body, then the short and fat old man would have to think twice. The divine war body was known as one of the most terrifying physiques in history. In the same realm, the divine war body was invincible. The short and fat old man regretted not completely activating the energy in his body. Only by completely activating the energy in his body would the short and fat old man become a true half-sage. Without activating the energy, he was only a peak Sky Supreme, the same cultivation as Ning Yu. With the same cultivation, the short and fat old man didn't believe that he could defeat or even kill Ning Yu. I have to leave. The short and fat old man wasn't a hothead. He knew the principle of running away if he couldn't win. However, before running away, the short and fat old man felt that he needed to find someone to cover his back. In the entire hall, the one who had the best relationship with the short and fat old man and was the most capable of covering his back was the 100-armed devil. After thinking for a while, the short and fat old man grabbed the void with his right hand. Suddenly, a ball of energy appeared in his hand, and he threw it at Ning Yu. Swoosh! A diversion. The short and fat old man took the initiative to attack to attract Ning Yu's attention. His real goal was to help the 100-armed devil. 100-armed devil, I'll help you. After attracting Ning Yu's attention, the short and fat old man instantly joined the battle on the other side. Under the strong attack of the short and fat old man, the 100-armed devil suddenly felt the pressure on him lessen. Why are you only here now? The 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man stood back to back. Among them, the 100-armed devil complained, "You've already activated the energy in your body. Why can't you even deal with that trash, Ning Yu?" Chapter 1679. Chapter 1679. Chapter 1679 Star Illusion. Not only can he not get rid of trash like me, but you can't get rid of me either. Casually dispersing the essence chi light ball shot out by the short and fat old man, Ning Yu's figure flashed and stood side by side with Hu Wentian and the others. The corner of Ning Yu's mouth curled up and he said indifferently, "Now that you're surrounded, I'll give you a chance to live. Submit to me or die." Ning Yu's aura exploded the moment he said die. Rumble. The aura of a peak heavenly supreme coupled with the unique explosive power of Ning Yu's war god's body shocked the 100-armed ghost demon. You. The 100-armed devil pointed his finger at Ning Yu, his face filled with disbelief. The 100-armed ghost demon had never thought that Ning Yu could advance to the peak heavenly supreme. If the 100-armed ghost demon remembered correctly, Ning Yu was only a grade 5 Earth Supreme previously. In just a few minutes, anyone would be shocked to rise from the 5th grade Earth Sovereign Realm to the pinnacle Heavenly Sovereign Realm. What? I'll give you one last chance. Ning Yu rolled his eyes and said, "Submit to me or die." Although Ning Yu seemed to be persuading the short and plump old man and the 100-armed ghost demon, it wasn't the case. Ning Yu was secretly instructing Hu Wentian and the rest. Hu Wentian was the strongest and his task was to watch over the 100-armed ghost demon and the short and plump old man. He would attack whoever tried to escape. Ning Lu and the primordial spirit battle body's tasks weren't that complicated. They would attack whoever didn't escape. As for the Dark Emperor, Harry Ball, and Zhao Lin, their tasks were even simpler. Watch over Di Feng and Gao Jingde. Both Di Feng and Gao Jingde were peak heavenly supreme at their peak. The Dark Emperor's task was to watch over Di Feng and Gao Jingde to prevent them from playing any trick. Hundred-armed demon, the reason why Ningyu could rise to the pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm from the 5th grade earth sovereign realm is due to the true dragon bloodline. The short and fat old man glared at Ningyu viciously and said coldly, "The true dragon's blood can raise Ningyu's cultivation from the 5th grade earth sovereign realm." Wait, what did you say? True dragon blood? Just as the hundred-armed devil was about to refute the short and stout old man, he seemed to realize something. True dragon blood. If Ningyu had the true dragon's bloodline, then he might be able to raise his cultivation to the pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm. After all, the energy contained within the true dragon's blood was extremely terrifying. Ningyu should still have a few drops of true dragon blood on him. In order to drag the hundred-armed ghost demon down with him, the pudgy old man said viciously, "I'll stop Hu Wentian and the others later. You're in charge of snatching the true dragon's blood from Ningyu. Once we get the true dragon's blood, we'll split it 50-50. All right." The hundred-armed ghost demon immediately agreed. Moreover, the hundred-armed ghost demon's figure flashed and he immediately charged at Ningyu. If it was in the past, the hundred-armed ghost demon would never have been deceived by the short and fat old man. But now, the trump card brought by the hundred-armed ghost demon could not be used. If he wanted to use his trump card, he had to find a huge amount of energy. Obviously, the true dragon's blood met the requirements. Due to various factors, the hundred-armed ghost demon decided to take the risk and attack Ningyu. Now's the time. Seeing the hundred-armed ghost demon's foolish move, the short and fat old man's eyes burst with excitement. In the next instant, the short and fat old man directly tore through the void and dashed toward the entrance of the hall at a terrifying speed. Run. There was only one word in the short and fat old man's mind: run away. He had to run as fast as he could. He would definitely die if he fought with a pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm war god physique. The hundred-armed ghost demon's mind was muddled by the true dragon's blood, causing him to not notice the fact that Ningyu had the war god physique. Once the hundred-armed ghost demon reacted, he would lose the best opportunity to escape. Swish. The short and fat old man's plan was successful. But at the last moment there was a mistake. Hu Wentian's figure flashed and appeared in front of the short and fat old man, blocking his path of retreat. "Why are you blocking my way instead of saving Ningyu?" The short and fat old man's heart skipped a beat, but he maintained his composure and said, "I believe you have seen the hundred-armed ghost demon's strength. With Ningyu's strength, he is definitely not his opponent. Shorty, you King tricked me." However, as soon as the short and fat old man said the word opponent, he heard the hundred-armed ghost demon's roar. The hundred-armed ghost demon's lungs were about to explode. As soon as he fought with Ningyu, he realized that something was wrong. Ningyu was not an ordinary Peak Sky Supreme. He had the war god physique. I must have been blind. I was blinded by the true dragon's blood. The hundred-armed ghost demon was filled with regret. If he hadn't been focused on the true dragon's blood, he would have noticed that Ningyu had the war god physique. To fight with a war god of the same level. No, to be exact, with a war god physique that was one level higher than him, the hundred-armed ghost demon didn't believe that she could win. I didn't trick you. Ningyu does have the true dragon's blood. The short and fat old man wanted the hundred-armed ghost demon to block Ningyu for him, so he shouted, "Don't be fooled by Ningyu's Peak Sky Supreme cultivation. According to my estimation, he can only last 3 minutes at most. As long as you can block him for a minute, the true dragon's blood will be yours." Damn it! Hearing the short and fat old man's bait, the hundred-armed ghost demon gritted his teeth and said coldly, "Fight! Hundred-armed demon!" As the hundred-armed ghost demon roared, he waved his hands continuously. In an instant, hundreds of illusory palms appeared and attacked Ningyu. Swish! The attack of hundreds of illusory palms was extremely terrifying. Swish! Moreover, the 100-armed ghost demon himself also attacked together with the hundreds of illusory palms, wanting to give Ningyu a fatal blow. However, the 100-armed ghost demon's body also became illusory. The 100-armed ghost demon was betting that Ningyu wouldn't be able to find his real body. In the demon spirit realm, many people knew that the 100-armed ghost demon was famous because of the 100-armed demon. However, they didn't know that the 100-armed demon was only one of the 100-armed ghost demon's moves. Star illusion art. By chance, the 100-armed ghost demon obtained a horrifying martial technique, the star illusion art. The 100-armed ghost demon was only the first move of the star illusion art. As for the second move of the star illusion art, it was called the 100-armed ghost demon. The meaning of the 100-armed ghost demon was simple. It meant that the 100-armed ghost demon would transform into countless illusory bodies, and his real body would be hidden in one of them. Naturally, the 100-armed ghost demon had yet to successfully cultivate the second move. He had only cultivated the third form of the 100-armed ghost demon. In other words, the 100-armed ghost demon could only transform into 3 illusory bodies. The strength of each body was at the pinnacle of the heavenly supreme realm. This 100-armed ghost demon was the 100-armed ghost demon's second-last trump card. Under my star illusion art, you will die for sure. Chapter 1680. Collapse. Seeing hundreds of illusory palms coming at him, Ningyu wasn't afraid. Instead, he revealed an excited expression. Ningyu was well aware of this. Although he could kill the 100-armed ghost demon in a head-on confrontation, he would have to pay a price. Now, the 100-armed ghost demon was trying to use the star illusion technique to kill him. And this gave Ningyu a great opportunity. True dragon blood see through all things. Ningyu immediately mobilized the true dragon blood in his body, using it to detect which body was the 100-armed ghost demon's. Perhaps everyone knew that the true dragon blood could increase a cultivator's cultivation and improve their physique. However, very few people knew that the true dragon's blood could see through all illusions. The reason why Ningyu knew this was because he was a pinnacle 9th-grade alchemist in his previous life, only a step away from 10th-grade alchemy emperor. Heaven cleaving. The moment the true dragon blood appeared, Ningyu instantly discovered the 100-armed ghost demon's true body. Waving the black dragon sword in his hand, Ningyu slashed out a sword light. Using the black dragon sword to execute the heaven slashing technique would at least double its power. Adding on to the fact that Ningyu's cultivation was at pinnacle sky supreme, if this move hit the 100-armed ghost demon, she would be crippled even if she didn't die. Chi. The power of the sword light was immense. Everywhere it passed, countless illusory palms were sliced in half. Could it be that he found out which one is my true body? The 100-armed ghost demon's eyes narrowed, feeling that something was amiss. Because the direction of the sword light was where her true body was. From the sword light, the 100-armed ghost demon felt a terrifying aura fluctuation. The fluctuation was terrifying, so terrifying that the 100-armed ghost demon had the thought of retreating. Golden cicada shedding. At this critical moment, the 100-armed ghost demon decisively retreated. The 100-armed devil's retreat could be said to be the best choice she had made today. Crack, crack. Just as she retreated, the sword light shattered her 2 illusory bodies. Hiss. Seeing the illusory body shatter, the 100-armed devil could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. If she hadn't run fast enough, she would have been the one to be smashed. He does have some skill. It seems I have no choice but to use my trump card. The 100-armed devil's eyes flickered. He gritted his teeth and took out a golden pill from his bosom. With a flick of his wrist, the golden pill flew into the 100-armed devil's mouth. Rumble! As soon as the pill entered his stomach, the 100-armed devil's cultivation soared at a terrifying speed. In just a few seconds, The 100-armed devil's cultivation had risen from the late phase heavenly sovereign realm to the pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm, just like Ningyu. You're still not dead this time. Feeling the terrifying power in his body, the 100-armed devil didn't retreat. Instead, he charged at Ningyu. In the eyes of the 100-armed devil, she must kill Ningyu no matter what and obtain the blood of the true dragon. This was because the golden elixir she had swallowed possessed a terrifying backlash. Once the effect of the elixir wore off, the 100-armed devil would be doomed eternally. By then, not only would she have to guard against unknown dangers, but she would also have to guard against the short and fat old man. The short and fat old man had already sold her out. However, as long as she could get the blood of the true dragon, everything would be very simple. With the blood of the true dragon, the 100-armed devil could use his last trump card. After all, the last trump card of the 100-armed devil was very difficult to use. He needed a huge amount of energy to activate it. The blood of the true dragon couldn't be any better. Kill! Ningyu's eyes turned cold. He held the black dragon's sword and dashed out. The 100-armed devil was worried, and so was Ningyu. The backlash of the 2 drops of blood of the true dragon was too terrifying. It was so terrifying that Ningyu could barely hold on. Once the effect of the blood of the true dragon wore off, Ningyu would be a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. In Ningyu's mind, he had to subdue or kill the 100-armed devil while the effect of the blood of the true dragon was still in effect. Rumble! As Ningyu and the 100-armed devil were risking their lives, the power of the 2 peak heaven's supreme experts was imaginable. Various shockwaves spread out in all directions. At this moment, there was a loud rumble in the hall, and it looked like it was going to collapse. Dark Emperor, hurry up and bring Di Feng and the rest away. The shaking of the hall made Ningyu's face turn ugly as he shouted to the Dark Emperor and the rest. This was the deepest part of the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein. If the hall were to collapse, it might cause a chain reaction. At that time, if the Dark Emperor and Zhao Lin wanted to escape, it would be even harder than ascending to the heavens. Understood. The Dark Emperor wasn't an unreasonable dog. He immediately carried the 2 experts and dashed out of the hall. Zhao Lin, the leader of the Stone Beetles, Harry Ball, and the rest of them didn't stay idle either. Each of them brought a few experts and followed behind the Dark Emperor. You guys leave too. Seeing the Dark Emperor and Zhao Lin leave, Hu Wentian shouted from afar. 5 nine-tailed demon foxes. When they entered the Saint Grade Yuan crystal vein, there were a total of 10 nine-tailed demon foxes. Now that there were 5 left, Hu Wentian naturally wanted to let them live. Russell! The 5 nine-tailed demon foxes weren't stubborn foxes. They immediately moved and left with Zhao Lin and the rest. In the end, Ning Lu and the primordial spirit battle physique also left the battlefield and disappeared. They're courting death. Hu Wentian and Ning Yu's actions allowed the 100-armed devil and the old man to grasp a flaw. In a fight between experts, even the slightest mistake could be the key to deciding the outcome of the battle. At this moment, the 100-armed devil and the old man had turned hostility into friendship as they launched an attack against Ning Yu and Hu Wentian. Go! Since the old man and the 100-armed devil had joined hands, Ning Yu and Hu Wentian also chose to join hands. The battle had instantly escalated. The destructive power of a battle between 4 pinnacle heavenly sovereigns could be imagined. Crack! 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 The battle didn't last long before it reached its peak. But just when Ning Yu and the rest were about to fight to the death, the pillars around the hall suddenly shattered. The destruction of the pillars meant that the hall had completely collapsed. Retreat! Ning Yu wasn't a fool. The collapse of the hall meant that the entire Saint Grade crystal vein would be in trouble. If he fought with the 100-armed devil at this moment, even if he could win, he would still die in the end. Therefore, Ning Yu didn't think too much about it. He immediately executed a secret art and raised his speed to the limit. In the blink of an eye, he tore through space and disappeared. Russell! Following closely behind Ning Yu was Hu Wentian. Russell! Russell! The last two cultivators to leave were naturally the 100-armed devil and the old man. The two of them had formed an alliance to deal with Ning Yu and Hu Wentian. Now that Ning Yu and Hu Wentian had left, they naturally wouldn't join hands anymore. As the saying goes, when disaster strikes, everyone flies away. The old man and the 100-armed devil each had their own plans. The old man wanted to leave this place and join up with the demonic spirit realm's army. Chapter 1681. Chapter 1681. Chapter 1681 Master. Rumble. The collapse of the hall caused a chain reaction. The holy grade primordial crystal mine that was on the verge of collapse collapsed entirely. This kind of collapse came from the inside out. It was extremely comprehensive. Let's go. We'll be finished if we're late. Let's leave now. Let's leave quickly. Send these holy grade primordial crystals to Emperor Palace. We can exchange them for cultivation resources. In the primordial crystal mine, some experts from Emperor Divine Palace who did not manage to leave in time were anxious like ants on a hot pan. On one hand, they wanted to get more holy-grade primordial crystals. On the other hand, they wanted to leave the primordial crystal mine as soon as possible. Because of this, many warriors died on the spot. Humans die for wealth, while birds die for food. Although many warriors died, the remaining warriors didn't give up on the holy-grade primordial crystals. On the contrary, some of them stopped to loot their companions' holy-grade primordial crystals. The outcome was predictable. The few stupid warriors who stayed were killed by their stupidity. Russell. The collapse of the holy-grade primordial crystal mine caused the stone beetles in the mine to leave. Wherever the stone beetles passed, they devoured all the holy-grade primordial crystals like a swarm of locusts. There were even some Emperor Palace warriors who died under the stone beetle army. Swoosh. After more than 10 minutes of running, a few figures finally arrived at the exit of the holy-grade primordial crystal mine. Looking carefully, these figures were none other than the Dark Emperor, Zhao Lin, and the others. Leave with Di Feng and the rest. I'm going to save Ning Yu. Ning Lu looked solemn as he stared at the entrance of the holy-grade primordial crystal mine. The reason why Ning Lu chose to leave first was that Ning Yu had instructed him to be in charge of protecting the Dark Emperor and Fur Ball. Now that Dark Emperor and Hairy Ball had left the holy-grade primordial crystal mine, Ning Lu naturally had to return to fight alongside Ning Yu. Are you crazy? Although Dark Emperor looked restless usually, he pulled Ning Lu back. The entire holy-grade primordial crystal mine is collapsing. You're courting death if you go in now. Russell. Just as the Dark Emperor finished speaking, a strange voice came from the cave in front of him. D*MN, it's the Stone Beetle Army. As a purple-gold sky-swallowing hound, Dark Emperor was very sensitive to the aura of demonic beasts. Dark Emperor must be very worried with so many stone beetles coming. But Dark Emperor's worry only lasted for a moment. When the Dark Emperor saw the leader of the rock beetles, the worry in his heart instantly disappeared. Rank system of stone beetles. As long as the leader of the stone beetles were here, the stone beetles would not dare. Swoosh. What happened next was just as the Dark Emperor expected. The army of stone beetles rushed out of the Yuan crystal mine. Not only did they not attack them, but they also surrounded them, forming a wall of stone beetles. With so many stone beetles protecting them, the safety of the Dark Emperor and the others was at least greatly guaranteed. Dark Emperor, don't worry. With the primordial soul battle body by my side, my life won't be in danger. Ning Lu smiled at the Dark Emperor before grabbing the primordial spirit battle physique and charging towards the Saint-grade primordial crystal mine again. Although the true dragon's blood could temporarily increase Ning Yu's cultivation, the backlash was terrifying. If Ning Lu wasn't wrong, Ning Yu's life was rapidly fading and he wouldn't be able to hold on much longer. Ning Lu had to enter the spatial ring and provide life to Ning Yu before Ning Yu couldn't hold on any longer. Ning Lu had to enter the spatial ring and provide life to Ning Yu before Ning Yu couldn't hold on any longer. Only Ning Yu's powerful life force could resist the backlash of the true dragon's blood. The World Tree was the #1 divine tree in the world. As long as Ning Lu was willing to help Ning Yu could maintain his cultivation at the pinnacle of the Heaven's supreme realm for a long time. Wait! However, Ning Lu and the Emperor's faces changed before they even entered the holy grade primordial crystal mine. A faint voice suddenly resounded in their ears. Although the voice sounded normal, Ning Lu could hear a deeply hidden murderous intent from the voice. This killing intent was extremely well concealed. If not for Ning Lu's special sensitivity towards killing intent, he definitely wouldn't have discovered it. I wonder why Senior stopped me. Ning Lu stopped in his tracks and asked in a deep voice. Ning Lu's actions caused the Dark Emperor, Zhao Lin, and the others to look in the direction of the voice. Buzz. The void trembled. Then, a cultivator dressed in embroidered robes slowly appeared in everyone's line of sight. Gasp! This caused the Dark Emperor and the others to suck in a breath of cold air. The cultivator in embroidered robes did not conceal his aura. Instead, he completely released his half-sage aura. Suppressed by the half-sage aura, the Dark Emperor, Zhao Lin, and the others, including Ning Lu, felt unprecedented pressure. Ning Lu was the World Tree. Logically speaking, the half-sage aura should be able to suppress him. However, there was no way to make him feel as embarrassed as he was now. Something's not right. The more Ning Lu thought about it, the more he felt that something was amiss. Suddenly, Ning Lu's pupils constricted and he couldn't help but take a few steps back. From the aura of the cultivator in embroidered robes, Ning Lu could sense a unique aura. This unique aura had far surpassed the half-sage level. That's right. This aura was the aura of a sage. Ning Lu was confused as to why the cultivator in embroidered robes could unleash the aura of a sage when he was only a half-sage. One must know that not even 1 in 1,000 half-sages could reach the sage realm. A cultivator that could cultivate the aura of a sage when he was only a half-sage had a high chance of reaching the sage realm. His age. What shocked Ning Lu was yet to come. If the cultivator in embroidered robes was only a half-sage and had cultivated the aura of a sage, Ning Lu wouldn't be so shocked. However, the age of the embroidered-clothed cultivator truly shocked Ning Lu speechless. 30 years old. A half-sage at the age of 30. No one would believe it. Ning Yu was already monstrous enough to reach the 5th grade Earth Sovereign Realm at the age of 20. However, it would be harder for Ning Yu to reach the half-sage before the age of 30. Yet, the cultivator in embroidered robes before him had reached the half-sage at the age of 30. How could Ning Lu not be shocked? Senior. Hearing Ning Lu address him as Senior, the cultivator in embroidered robes raised the corner of his mouth and said with a faint smile, "This is the Moling Mountain Range, and the Moling Mountain Range is my territory. Why do you think I stopped you?" Due to Ning Lu's shocking concealment methods, the cultivator in embroidered robes did not discover that he was a World Tree. If the cultivator in embroidered robes discovered Ning Lu's true identity, he would probably attack him on the spot. "Your territory?" Ning Lu was slightly stunned. He then probed, "Are you from the Moling Mountain Range? Why, don't I look like one?" Chapter 1682. A Confrontation. 100 years? When Ning Lu heard the words of the cultivator in embroidered robes, his mouth gaped open. His eyes widened in stupefaction. The cultivator was a half-sage expert. Even if he stayed for 10 years, or even a year, Ning Lu's identity would be exposed, let alone 100 years. The World Tree's allure to half-sages went without saying. Once Ning Lu's identity was exposed, the consequences would be unthinkable. That's right, 100 years. The cultivator nodded, then glanced at Zhao Lin and the others. In order to prevent you from escaping, I've decided to leave something on your bodies. Wait. Before the cultivator finished speaking, Ning Lu seemed to have thought of something. He hurriedly walked into the crowd and dragged out the three-peaked sky's supreme demonic beast. In Ning Lu's view, since the cultivator was the master of the Moling mountain range, they had a chance. Pa pa pa. With 3 consecutive palm strikes, Ning Lu undid the seals on the three-peaked sky's supreme demonic beast. Master! After the seals on their bodies were undone, the three-peaked sky's supreme demonic beasts immediately knelt on the ground and said to the cultivator, "We were incompetent. Please punish us, Master." Crack crack. The cultivator's face darkened at the sudden turn of events. At this moment, the cultivator's face was extremely gloomy. Just what kind of monster was this 5-year-old child? Why couldn't he see through his seal? He was a half-sage expert, while the child before him was only a mid-stage Sky Supreme. Jean E was shocked in his heart, but on the surface he coldly said, "You guys still have the face to call me master?" 3 pinnacle heavenly supreme realm demonic beasts were actually captured by a few weak cultivators. How embarrassing! In order to cover up the fact that he hadn't discovered the 3 demonic beasts, the cultivator chose to lie. The 3-peaked sky's supreme demonic beasts looked at each other and saw shock and confusion in each other's eyes. Normally, the cultivator wouldn't treat them like this. The 3 of them were the backbone of the Moling mountain range. Basically, they were in charge of all matters in the Moling mountain range. The cultivator had the attitude of a hands-off manager. Now that the embroidered clothed martial artists were treating them like this, they were unable to adapt to it for a moment and stood there in a daze. "What are you talking about? Haven't you embarrassed yourself enough? Get your ass over here." The warrior in embroidered robes had a cold look in his eyes as he berated, "From today onwards, face the wall and reflect on your misdeeds. Without my permission, no one is allowed to leave the Moling mountain range." It could be seen that the warrior in embroidered robes was truly enraged. The 3 monstrous beasts did not dare to be negligent. They hurriedly moved their feet, wanting to go over to the embroidered clothed martial artist. Swish, swish, swish. However, just as the 3 monster beasts moved a few steps, the Dark Emperor, Furball, and the Stone Beetle leader quickly rushed out, blocking the 3 monster beasts' path of retreat. "You're forcing me to take action." The embroidered clothed martial artist's already gloomy face became even colder. No matter what, he was a half-saint realm expert. These small fries before him were courting death by openly going against him. "You seem to be very worried about their lives." Ning Lu placed his hands behind his back. The corners of his mouth curled up as he said in a clear voice, "Why don't we make a deal? You let us go, and I'll let the 3 monster beasts go." The reason why Ning Lu dared to say so naturally had his reasons. Through the performance of the embroidered clothed martial artist earlier and his degree of anger, Ning Lu discovered 2 important pieces of information. Firstly, the embroidered clothed martial artist cared a lot about the 3 monster beasts' lives. Secondly, the embroidered clothed martial artist was injured and could not fully unleash the strength of a half-saint. These 2 discoveries made Ning Lu's heart calm down. Since the embroidered clothed martial artist could not fully unleash the combat strength of a half-saint, he was not so afraid. Primordial Spirit Battle Body, Stone Beetle Army, plus him, they might be able to contend with the embroidered clothed martial artist a little. Furthermore, Ning Lu made up his mind that the embroidered clothed martial artist would not make a move against him, because the lives of the 3 monster beasts were in his hands. As long as he gave the order, the Dark Emperor and Furball would immediately make a move and make the 3 monster beasts die without a burial ground. "What does it have to do with you whether I'm worried about their lives or not?" The embroidered clothed martial artist's expression became colder and colder. In the end, he once again unleashed his half-saint aura, suppressing the Dark Emperor and the others. In fact, Ning Lu was very smart. His guess was completely correct. The embroidered clothed martial artist was indeed injured and had not fully recovered. However, the embroidered clothed martial artist was not a wax figure with a silver spear. Although he was injured, he could still use the half-saint aura. Ning Lu could block the half-saint aura, but it did not mean that the Dark Emperor and the others could. The embroidered clothed martial artist's idea was very simple. First, use his aura to subdue the Dark Emperor and the others, then slowly deal with Ning Lu. Stone Beetle Leader. How could Ning Lu not know what the embroidered clothed martial artist was thinking? He shouted and immediately ordered the Stone Beetle Leader, "Let the Stone Beetle army come forward. No matter what, we must block his aura." Whoosh! The Stone Beetle Leader knew that the current situation was very dangerous. He immediately used the Stone Beetle's unique secret technique to order the many Stone Beetles. Under the Stone Beetle Leader's order, the Stone Beetle army moved in an orderly manner. They surrounded the Dark Emperor and the others in 3 layers, and each Stone Beetle spat out a green liquid from its mouth. Chi chi chi. Under the half-saint aura, the green liquid only flew a few meters before falling to the ground. Crack, crack, crack. The green liquid falling to the ground was secondary. The most important thing was that the Stone Beetle army outside could not withstand the half-saint aura and died tragically. In just an instant, the entire area had lost hundreds and thousands of stone beetles. We can't go on like this. Although he was protected in the middle, Ning Lu still knew the tragic death of the stone beetles outside like the back of his hand. Although there were many stone beetles, at this rate, the stone beetle army would be completely annihilated in a few minutes at most. Yuan Shen Battle Body, pull out a demonic beast for me. Ning Lu gritted his teeth and immediately ordered the Yuan Shen Battle Body. Puff. The Yuan Shen Battle Body received the order and grabbed the shortest demonic beast, bringing it to Ning Lu. Go! Ning Lu stomped on the ground and leaped out of the stone beetle army's encirclement. If you dare release the half-saint aura again, don't blame me for not being polite. Ning Lu let the Yuan Shen Battle Body grab the shortest demonic beast's neck and said to the embroidered clothed martial artist coldly, "From now on, as long as one stone beetle dies, I will kill him." Cough cough. Chapter 1683. Chapter 1683. How dare you? The martial artist's eyes were bloodshot and even his hair stood on end. He said viciously, "If you dare to kill him, I will definitely turn you into ashes. Do it." Ning Lu would not waste his breath on the martial artist. When he saw that the martial artist had yet to retract his half-sage aura, he immediately ordered the Essence Soul Battle Body to attack. Crack! The Essence Soul Battle Body exerted a little force and broke the neck of the shorter demonic beast. Swoosh! With his neck broken, the shorter martial artist died on the spot. However, after his death, the essence spirit of the shorter martial artist quickly left his body and wanted to escape. Stop him! Seeing that the essence spirit of the shorter demonic beast wanted to escape, Ning Lu immediately shouted. Actually, even without Ning Lu's instructions, the Essence Soul Battle Body had already attacked. The shorter demonic beast was also in a miserable state. If it weren't for the 2 freaks, Ning Lu and the Primordial Spirit Battle Body, his Primordial Spirit would definitely have escaped. Now, the Primordial Spirit Battle Body was quick to react. It grabbed his Primordial Spirit and swallowed it. Burp! After swallowing the essence spirit of the shorter demonic beast, the Essence Soul Battle Body even burped to express its satisfaction. In the distance the martial artist was instantly dumbfounded. He did not expect Ning Lu to be so decisive and kill him just like that. It was nothing to kill the shorter demonic beast, but after killing it, the Essence Soul Battle Body even devoured the essence spirit of the shorter demonic beast. What? If you don't retract your aura, I will continue to kill. Ning Lu shrugged and pointed to another demonic beast in the encirclement of the stone beetle army with his right hand. Essence Soul Battle Body, go and pull him out. Wait. Taking a deep breath, the martial artist said in a deep voice, "I'm willing to retract my aura." Swoosh. The warrior in embroidered robes was a man of his word. He had just said he would retract his aura, but he did so right after. Swoosh. Feeling the pressure around them disappear, the Dark Emperor and the others revealed expressions of relief. "Tell me, what do I have to do for you to let them go?" After retracting his aura, the martial artist tried to calm himself down and said, "As long as it's not an overly exaggerated request, I can satisfy you." "What are you trying to do?" Ning Lu already felt that there was something wrong with the three demonic beasts. Now, it seemed that there was indeed a huge problem. "Let me think about it first." After saying that, Ning Lu used his perception and carefully entered the body of the Yuan spirit battle body. Ning Lu kept an eye on him. The primordial spirit battle physique had indeed swallowed the primordial spirit of the short demonic beast, but Ning Lu did not let him refine it. Since the embroidered-robed martial artist valued the life spirit of the shorter monstrous beast so much, it meant that the life spirit of the shorter monstrous beast was definitely extraordinary. Ning Lu's perception entered the body of the essence soul battle body and began to probe carefully. He wanted to find out what was different about the essence soul of the shorter demonic beast. After probing for 3 minutes, Ning Lu could not help but gasp. The essence spirit of the shorter demon beast was indeed extraordinary. "It's the tri-spirit primordial spirit." Ning Lu was so surprised that he couldn't speak. There were many types of essence spirits, but the three-spirit essence spirit was very special. The tri-spirit primordial spirit had a special function. As long as one could find 3 tri-spirit primordial spirits and use a secret technique to fuse them together, then throw them into the furnace to refine for 49 hours, they would be able to refine a brand new puppet. War God Tri-Spirit. The War God Tri-Spirit was similar to the Yuan Spirit battle body in that it had a strong restraining effect on the essence spirit and soul power. However, the War God Tri-Spirit was a little different. The War God Tri-Spirit could be used as the second essence spirit of a cultivator, allowing the cultivator to store their essence spirit inside. Everyone knew that the essence spirit was extremely important to a cultivator. As long as the essence spirit left the body for a long time, it would slowly wither and weaken. After a long time, the essence spirit would definitely die. However, the War God Tri-Spirit was different. The essence spirit was stored inside and was almost indestructible. Even if the body died in battle, the essence spirit could survive. Could the other two also have the tri-spirit essence spirit? With a thought, Ning Lu hurriedly checked the other 2 peak sky supreme realm demonic beasts. As the 2 demonic beasts were already severely injured, Ning Lu could easily detect them. Their essence spirits were also tri-spirit essence spirits. The embroidered-robed martial artist's essence spirit is injured. In an instant, Ning Lu understood everything. Just now, he had already guessed that the embroidered-clothed martial artist was injured. However, he did not know where the embroidered-clothed martial artist was injured. Now that he saw the embroidered-clothed martial artist place such importance on the 3-spirit primordial spirit, Ning Lu immediately concluded that there was definitely a problem with the embroidered-clothed martial artist's primordial spirit. Something's wrong. But in the blink of an eye, Ning Lu felt that something was wrong. If the embroidered-clothed martial artist's primordial spirit was truly injured and he needed the War God Trinity's help, he would definitely make a move now. After all, on the surface, the short warrior's essence soul had been devoured by the essence soul battle body. Could it be that the embroidered-robed warrior has a tri-spirit primordial spirit? Thinking of this, Ning Lu could not help but look at the cultivator in embroidered clothes. "Have you thought it through or not?" Ning Lu's glance caused the embroidered-clothed cultivator's expression to turn cold. He said in a deep voice, "State your request." "I have 3 requests." Ning Lu decided to probe the embroidered-clothed martial artist. He extended a finger and said, First, you have to swear a heavenly Tao oath to let us all leave the Moling mountain range. No problem. The brocade-robed martial artist nodded. As long as he could retrieve the war god Trinity, the embroidered clothed martial artist was willing to let Ning Lu and the others go. Second, I need 10 million sacred-grade essence crystals and 100 immortal crystals. Ning Lu demanded an exorbitant price and extended a second finger. Are you sure you're not joking? The embroidered clothed martial artist was so angry that he almost made a move. 10 million sacred-grade essence crystals and 100 immortal crystals. How could Ning Lu say that? Not to mention that the embroidered clothed martial artist did not have that many essence crystals now. Even if he had them, he would not give them to Ning Lu. Such a large number of essence crystals was enough to empty the forbidden land of the Moling mountain range. Forget it if you don't have it. Essence Soul Battle Body. Ning Lu did not argue with the embroidered clothed martial artist. He turned and said to the Essence Soul Battle Body, "Damn it!" The embroidered clothed martial artist cursed inwardly and gritted his teeth. I can only give you 1 million sacred-grade essence crystals and 10 immortal crystals. 2 million sacred-grade essence crystals and 20 immortal crystals. Ning Lu thought about it and said, "This is my bottom line. I'll promise you first. I'll show you later." The embroidered clothed martial artist took a deep breath and agreed on the surface. No problem. Tell me your third request. The third request is very simple. Fulfill the first 2 requests first and then wait here with us for half an hour. Ning Lu said. Don't go too far. The embroidered clothed martial artist was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. He could still agree to Ning Lu's first 2 requests, but the third request was too nonsensical. The other party did not pay anything and obtained so many sacred-grade essence crystals and immortal crystals for no reason. Moreover, he ensured his own safety. Don't be angry. As long as you fulfill my first 2 requests. Chapter 1684. Chapter 1684. Chapter 1684 Misunderstanding. I can promise you, but you have to release both of them. The cultivator in embroidered clothes said in a deep voice, his eyes cold. The war god of Tri-Spirit required 3 Tri-Spirit primordial spirit. Although the essence soul of the shorter demon beast had been devoured by the essence soul battle body, the warrior in embroidered clothes was not particularly worried. Because in the deepest part of the Moling mountain range, in his residence, there was still a primordial spirit of 3 spirits. Therefore, as long as they could take away the remaining 2 demonic beasts, the cultivator in embroidered robes could also refine the war god of Trinity. Do you take me for a fool? Ning Lu pointed at his nose and said coldly, There's a limit to my patience. If you can't fulfill the first 2 requests, I'll kill them immediately. As he spoke, Ning Lu shot a look at the essence soul battle body. The primordial spirit battle body understood and directly came to the side of the remaining 2 demonic beasts. He stretched out his hands and grabbed the necks of the 2 demonic beasts. When confronting an expert like the embroidered clothed martial artist, on one hand, one couldn't push too hard, and on the other hand, one couldn't be too cowardly. After all, the initiative was currently in Ning Lu's hands. Ning Lu had the qualifications to negotiate with the embroidered clothed martial artist. Alright. The primordial soul battle body's actions left the cultivator in embroidered clothes with no other choice but to agree. I agree to your first 2 requests. The embroidered clothed martial artist was not the kind of person who would go back on his word. He immediately swore an oath, withdrew a storage pouch from his pocket, and tossed it to Ning Lu. After catching the storage bag, Ning Lu slightly released his perception power. After confirming that there were 2 million saint-grade origin crystals and 20 immortal crystals in it, he winked at the primordial spirit battle body. Whoosh! The primordial spirit battle body exerted strength in its right hand and grabbed the neck of a demonic beast before throwing it towards the embroidered clothed martial artist. Master! The demonic beast stopped in front of the embroidered-robed cultivator and knelt on the ground. It said in fear, "It's all my fault. Master, please punish me. Get back to where you came from. You're not going anywhere without my permission." The cultivator in embroidered robes berated. Yes. The demonic beast did not dare to delay. It nodded its head and quickly left. "Let's find your lair first." The corners of Ning Lu's mouth curled into an unnatural smile as he watched the demonic beasts leave. The reason why Ning Lu let this demonic beast go was because he could obtain benefits from the embroidered-clothed cultivator. The other reason was because Ning Lu had a backup plan. Ning Lu had left a special scent on the demon beast. Through that scent, he could easily find the location of the demon beast. Half an hour later, "I hope you can fulfill your promise." The embroidered-robed cultivator glared at Ning Lu coldly. Then, he placed his hands behind his back and floated in midair. Although the embroidered-clothed cultivator did not seem to be making any moves, that was not the case. The embroidered-robed cultivator's powerful perception had already surged out of his body, approaching the sage-grade essence crystal mine from two different directions. The embroidered-clothed martial artist was not a fool. The saint-grade origin crystal mine had already collapsed, but Ning Lu and the others were still guarding the exit. It was obvious that there was either something good inside or their companions. Regardless of whether it was good things or Ning Lu's friends, they were all very beneficial to the embroidered-clothed martial artist. If it was something good, the brocade-clothed martial artist could keep it for himself. If it was Ning Lu's friend, the cultivator in embroidered clothes could capture him and use that to threaten Ning Lu. Drip. Time passed by quickly. Not only was the brocade-clothed martial artist paying close attention to the changes in the saint-grade origin crystal mine, Ning Lu and the Dark Emperor were also paying attention to the changes in the mine. Swish. 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 At the same time, within the Yuan crystal mine 4 figures were moving rapidly. The 2 figures in front were the 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man, while the 2 figures behind were Ning Yu and Hu Wentian. Fortunately, the 2 of them are blocking us from behind. Otherwise, we would be in deep trouble today. The 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man looked back at Ning Yu and Hu Wentian with fear in their eyes. This was because there was another figure behind Ning Yu and Hu Wentian. This figure was dressed in rags and had disheveled hair. Don't be fooled by this martial artist's ragged clothes and disheveled hair. His strength was abnormally terrifying. Originally, the 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man were chasing after Ning Yu and Hu Wentian. This ragged old man suddenly attacked and severely injured the 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man with a single move. At this critical moment, fortunately, the 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man hurriedly executed their secret techniques to increase their speed. In an instant, they were in front of Ning Yu and Hu Wentian. Otherwise, the 2 of them would definitely be the ones lagging behind. Now that Ning Yu and Hu Wentian were lagging behind, their lives were temporarily not in danger. Speed up! Ning Yu and Hu Wentian did not even dare to look back. They even used all their strength. Everyone was aware of the current situation. Once the old man caught up, they would definitely be killed. Therefore, Ning Yu and Hu Wentian did not ask anything. There was only one thought in their minds, and that was to leave the Saint-grade Yuan crystal mine as soon as possible and shake off the old man behind them. Buzz. At the same time, at the entrance of the Yuan crystal mine, the brocade-clothed martial artist suddenly opened his eyes and his expression became extremely solemn. Who is it? The brocade-clothed martial artist adjusted his mental state to the peak as he paid close attention to the changes at the entrance. Since the brocade-clothed martial artist knew that someone was leaving the Yuan crystal mine, Ning Lu naturally knew about it as well. Since the brocade-clothed martial artist had made the Heavenly Tao Oath, he wouldn't make a move against them in the Moling Mountain range. Therefore, Ning Lu ordered the Dark Emperor and the rest to leave with the Stone Beetle army. The 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man were powerful. The Dark Emperor and Zhao Lin wouldn't be of much help even if they stayed behind. On the contrary, they would become a burden. Russell, the Dark Emperor, Zhao Lin, Harry Ball, the 5 nine-tailed fox, Di Feng, Gao Jingde, and the rest left with the Stone Beetle army in an instant. Very quickly, there were only a few people left at the entrance of the cave. Ning Lu, the primordial spirit battle physique, the leader of the Stone Beetles. Naturally, there was also a subordinate of the brocade-clothed martial artist, a pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm demonic beast. They're out. Just when the Dark Emperor and the rest left, 2 figures charged out from the cave. The 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man. Initially, Ning Lu wanted to receive them. But when he saw the 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man, he immediately stopped and did not make a move. Ning Lu not making a move, but that didn't mean that the brocade-clothed martial artist wouldn't make a move. The silhouette of the brocade-clothed martial artist flashed as he charged towards the 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man. Although the brocade-clothed martial artist's primordial spirit was severely injured and his fighting strength was between the pinnacle heavenly sovereign and half-saint realm, he still made a move without any hesitation. Evidently, Ning Lu's action of making a move had made the brocade-clothed martial artist make a judgment. The brocade-clothed martial artist thought that the 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man were in cahoots with Ning Lu. As long as he could capture the 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man, he could use them to threaten Ning Lu in exchange for the last tri-spiritual primordial spirit. Shit, there's someone. The 100-armed devil and the short and fat old man fled with all their might. They never expected that they would be ambushed the moment they left the Saint Grade Yuan crystal mine. The 2 of them had the same thoughts as the brocade-clothed martial artist. Chapter 1685. Chapter 1685. Chapter 1685 Heartless Valley. Rumble. The battle between the 3 super powerhouses naturally caused the scene to be exceptionally fiery. The cultivator's strength was between a half-sage and a peak sky supreme. Even though he was fighting 1 against 2, he was not at a disadvantage. However, the 100-armed devil and the short elder were not to be trifled with. After using their trump cards, their battle prowess was infinitely close to that of a half-sage. They were only slightly weaker than the cultivator in brocade clothes. 2 against 1, they were evenly matched with the cultivator in brocade clothes. How is he so powerful? After 1 move, the cultivator in brocade clothes hurriedly retreated. Before he made his move, the cultivator in brocade clothes had already prepared himself for only 1 move. If he couldn't control the 100-armed devil and the short elder with 1 move, he would stop immediately. After all, the cultivator in brocade clothes had strong senses. He had sensed 3 terrifying auras in the cave. The 3 auras in the cave were no weaker than the 100-armed devil and the short elder. At this moment, the cultivator in brocade clothes had an ugly expression on his face. The 100-armed devil and the short elder were hard enough to deal with. If there were 3 more, the consequences would be unimaginable. The cultivator in brocade clothes even had the urge to leave. As the saying went, where there is life, there is hope. The fact that he couldn't refine the war god Trinity was secondary. He couldn't lose his life to refine the war god Trinity. Let's go. The cultivator in brocade clothes made a prompt decision. He turned around and wanted to leave the area. Swoosh. However, before the embroidered clothed cultivator could leave, a figure rushed out of the cave and charged at him with a terrifying speed. Oh no! The cultivator in brocade clothes' pupils shrank. He immediately put his hands in front of him, trying to block the fatal attack. Swoosh! What happened next stunned the cultivator in brocade clothes. The fist of the figure that rushed out of the cave stopped when it was a finger's length away from his head. It didn't hit his head. Gulp. Seeing that the old man in brocade clothes had stopped attacking, the cultivator in brocade clothes couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. That was close. This was because he sensed a heart-palpitating aura from the old man in ragged clothes. Sage? Sage? Suddenly, the embroidered-clothed cultivator's pupils constricted, and he froze in place. The old man in ragged clothes was a genuine sage. What's your relationship with the heartless old man? The elder's perception probed the warrior's body before asking, Are you from the Passionless Valley? How do you know about the Heartless Valley? The old man's words made the embroidered-clothed martial artist feel as if he had seen a ghost. One had to know that the unrequited Love Valley was not a force of the Sky Demon region. In fact, it did not even belong to the Celestial Spirit region. In the Immortal Spirit region, the number of people who knew of the Passionless Valley could be counted on one's fingers. Furthermore, all the brocade-robed martial artists knew of it. Where did this old man come from? How did he know about the Passionless Valley? Answer me. The old man stretched out his right hand and grabbed the warrior's neck. He said coldly, What is your relationship with the heartless old man? Cough, cough. Being grabbed by the neck by the old man, the warrior in embroidered robes coughed painfully. Heartless old man is my master. The embroidered-clothed martial artist replied honestly. Although the warrior in embroidered robes had thought of lying to the old man, he immediately dismissed the idea when he saw the old man's eyes. From the old man's eyes, the warrior in embroidered robes could see something that only the heartless old man could see. The heartless old man was the valley master of the Passionless Valley, and he was terrifyingly powerful. Since the old man's eyes were similar to the heartless old man's, it meant that they must have some sort of relationship. Senior, if my master has offended you in any way, please, the warrior in embroidered robes said cautiously. You'd better behave yourself. Before the warrior in embroidered robes could finish his sentence, the old man slapped him across the face and sent him flying several feet away. You should feel lucky that you're the disciple of the heartless old man, otherwise, you'd definitely die today. The old man's cold gaze swept across the warrior in embroidered robes, then he stomped on the ground and charged at the 100-armed demon and the short and fat old man. I'm going to kill you. Seeing the old man charging at them, the 100-armed demon and the short and fat old man's faces turned green. Even though they had a trump card, it was useless in front of a sage. The old man was ruthless and didn't hold back at all. In just an instant, the 100-armed demon and the short and fat old man were both killed. Pah, pah. Next, the old man placed his left hand on the 100-armed demon's head, and his right hand on the short and fat old man's head. He started devouring crazily. No matter what, the short and fat old man and the 100-armed demon were Devil Spirit Realm experts. If they were devoured by the old man just like that, wouldn't they lose their dignity? Therefore, the 100-armed demon used his trump card with all his might before he died. Rage of the Sage. With a loud roar, the 100-armed demon sent a terrifying sound wave attack at the old man. The so-called Rage of the Sage was a unique attack that was equivalent to the roar of a sage. In order to use the Rage of the Sage, one would need a huge amount of energy. At the very least, one would need a drop of true dragon blood. The 100-armed demon was able to use the Rage of the Sage at the cost of self-destruction. The Rage of the Sage was the first attack, and the self-destruction of the 100-armed demon was the second attack. After two powerful attacks were executed, the short and fat old man was in the most miserable state. He was the closest to the 100-armed demon, and he wasn't as strong as the old man. Whoosh! Therefore, the first to die was the short and fat old man. The old man was powerful. He opened his hand and formed a barrier before him. The Rage of the Sage and the self-destruction of the 100-armed demon. The two terrifying attacks were actually easily blocked by the old man. How terrifying! Seeing that the old man had blocked two powerful attacks by himself, Ning Yu and Hu Wentian exchanged a glance. They could see the shock in each other's eyes. The sage was truly a sage. His strength far exceeded ordinary pinnacle heavenly sovereigns. Due to the old man's powerful attack, Ning Yu and the rest weren't affected. Roughly a few minutes later, the old man retracted the barrier before him and turned around, walking towards Ning Yu and Hu Wentian. Shit! Seeing the old man's actions, Ning Yu's heart jolted. He knew that things weren't looking good. The old man had first devoured the 100-armed demon and the short and fat old man. Now, he was clearly trying to devour him and Hu Wentian. Senior. Seeing that the old man was about to reach them, Ning Yu immediately asked, "Do you need a huge amount of energy?" And hearing Ning Yu's words, the old man's brows twitched. "That's right. I need a huge amount of energy. But it should be enough after devouring the two of you." "Senior, it's not enough even if you devour me." Ning Yu gritted his teeth as his aura started to drop. Pinnacle Heavenly Sovereign, late phase Heavenly Sovereign. In the span of a few short seconds, Chen Xiaoyan's expression changed. Chapter 1686. Ogre, interesting. Sensing that Ning Yu's aura had dropped from the pinnacle Heavenly Sovereign realm to the 5th grade Earth Sovereign realm, the old man stopped and looked at Ning Yu with interest. "I've seen many elixirs and secret arts that can raise cultivation, but those that can raise cultivation from the 5th grade Earth Sovereign realm to the pinnacle Heavenly Sovereign realm are rare, even in another world. I never expected to see one in the celestial spirit realm." The worry in Ning Yu's heart lessened a little when he saw the old man stop. No matter what, as long as the old man didn't attack him immediately, he would have a chance to live. Something's wrong. Suddenly, the old man's pupils shrank. He stomped on the ground and flew in front of Ning Yu. Stretching out his right hand, the old man grabbed Ning Yu's neck and said in a deep voice, "Tell me, what did you devour? This is bad." The old man's reaction made Ning Yu's heart skip a beat. He didn't expect that even though he hid it so deeply, the old man still found out. True dragon blood. Ever since he found out that the old man was a sage, Ning Yu had been trying his best to hide the aura of the true dragon's blood. Who would have thought that the shrewd old man would still discover some clues? One must know that the blood of a true dragon was fatally tempting to sage-level powerhouses. "I devoured 2 drops of true dragon blood." Ning Yu gritted his teeth and replied helplessly. Ning Yu knew very well that lying in front of the old man was no different from courting death. "Ah, no wonder I had a familiar feeling." Hearing Ning Yu's answer, the old man threw his head back and laughed maniacally. "The heavens haven't forsaken me, the demonic human." "Ah." The old man laughed maniacally. In the end, he couldn't help but cry. "Human? Human demon?" Ning Yu and the others did not have any special reaction to the human demon. However, on the other side, the cultivator in embroidered robes gaped. He even stuttered when he spoke. In the sky demon region, or even in the immortal spirit region, no one had heard of the human demon. However, in the brocade-clothed warriors, which was the plain where the Passionless Valley was located, demonic humans were a synonym for terror. It was rumored that the human demon had once killed a saint single-handedly. As for why the human demon had fallen to the immortal spirit realm, the cultivator in embroidered robes did not know the exact reason. "Kid, how about we make a deal?" After laughing maniacally, the human demon stared at Ning Yu passionately and said, "Give me the true dragon blood in your body, and I'll let you do whatever you want in the lower realm of the immortal spirit realm." Could it be that this old man has a special hobby? Being stared at by the human demon, Ning Yu felt his whole body go numb. However, he had no choice but to lower his head. Ning Yu braced himself and said, "Senior human demon, the 2 drops of true dragon blood have already been refined by me. Even if I wanted to give them to you, I don't have the strength." "You don't have to worry about that." The human demon waved his hand and said, "Do you think it's that easy to refine the true dragon blood? If I'm not wrong, you've only refined less than 1/10 of the true dragon blood. The rest is all stored in your body." And Ningyu was slightly taken aback. He hurriedly released his soul power and began to inspect his body from all angles. This inspection left Ningyu completely dumbfounded. The human demon was right. Most of the true dragon blood's medicinal effects were stored in his body. As a pill refiner, Ningyu was very familiar with this situation. After all, when he had just been reborn, this body's veins were blocked, and the medicinal effects were stored in his tendons. Although there were some differences between the two situations, there wasn't much of a difference. "Senior human demon, I'm willing to make this deal with you." Ningyu had no other choice. After all, he didn't know the human demon's temper. If he angered the human demon, he would definitely be in trouble. Good. I, the human demon, will not let you suffer." The human demon repeated the word "good" a few times before moving his palm from Ningyu's neck to his head. But the moment the human demon's palm exerted force, Ningyu felt a terrifying force coming from the human demon's palm and entering his body. Chi. This force was terrifying and domineering. It rampaged around in Ningyu's body. When it saw the true dragon blood that hadn't been refined, it immediately controlled it. The other drop of true dragon blood must not be discovered. Ningyu guarded his mind and tried his best to hide the other drop of true dragon blood. Although the human demon said it on the surface, who knew what the human demon was thinking? If the human demon didn't keep his word, Ningyu would suffer a double loss. "Ning Lu, what do we do now?" The human demon's actions caused the Dark Emperor's face to turn ugly. At this moment, the Dark Emperor was in agony. He and Ningyu were brothers of life and death. Now, Ningyu's life was in the human demon's hands, and he couldn't do anything about it. This feeling made the Dark Emperor extremely pained and unhappy. In fact, the Dark Emperor had already made up his mind. If the human demon dared to do anything to Ningyu, he would take action immediately. Even if he died in battle, he wouldn't hesitate. Don't act rashly. Ning Lu could see things more clearly than the Dark Emperor. Ever since the human demon's palm was placed on Ningyu's head, he felt that something was amiss. If the human demon wanted to take it by force, he would have done so long ago. Why would he wait until now? Although the human demon was domineering and devoured the 100-armed ghost demon and the short and fat old man, the two of them were in demonic spirit realm. The human demon didn't devour the heavenly supreme experts in Imperial Peak, Gao Zhengde and the rest. It was obvious that the human demon wasn't someone who would kill the innocent. Moreover, the changes in Ningyu made Ning Lu feel like he was in a trance. It was as though Ningyu's physique was changing. Body tempering with the true dragon's blood. The more Ning Lu thought about it, the more terrified he felt. If the human demon really helped Ningyu temper his body with the true dragon's blood, Ningyu's future would be limitless. Since ancient times, there were very few people who were fortunate enough to see the true dragon's blood. Warriors who were qualified to use the true dragon's blood to temper their body were even rarer. Once Ningyu completed the body tempering with the true dragon's blood, Ningyu's aptitude and strength would take a leap in quality. Dragon's blood tempering. Ning Lu could only see some clues, but Ningyu could feel the domineering and terrifying power of the dragon's blood tempering. There were a few times when Ningyu almost couldn't endure the excruciating pain. However, Ningyu understood that if he couldn't endure it now, his achievements in the future would be limited. Hence, Ningyu clenched his teeth and persevered. Not bad. He can endure the body tempering with the true dragon's blood without making a sound. He's a good seedling indeed. Ningyu's calm performance made the human demon nod his head slightly. If I could take him in as my disciple, I think. Forget it. I'll just help him. I've already sworn that I won't take any more disciples. The human demon took a deep breath and the terrifying power in his body rushed out again. It entered Ningyu's body and started to devour the true dragon's blood. One part of the power devoured the true dragon's blood, while the other helped Ning Yu temper his body. Chapter 1687. 8th Grade Earth Supreme Crack. Body tempering with the true dragon's blood was something that ordinary cultivators could never experience in their entire lives. Under the powerful body tempering ability of the true dragon's blood, the bones in Ning Yu's body emitted cracking sounds. Furthermore, a lot of black impurities seeped out of Ning Yu's skin. In fact, after reaching the sovereign realm, there were very few impurities in one's body. Even so, Ning Yu could still expel so many impurities from his body. One could only imagine how terrifying the true dragon's blood was. Boom! 5 minutes later, a muffled sound suddenly came from Ning Yu's body. Boom! Along with the muffled sound, Ning Yu's aura had risen from 5th Grade Earth Supreme to 6th Grade Earth Supreme. This, sensing the change in Ning Yu's aura, the Dark Emperor and Ning Lu were both shocked. At first, the Dark Emperor was still suspicious of Ning Yu's speculation. But now, he had basically concluded that Ning Yu was indeed tempering his body with the true dragon's blood. Fortunately, the Saint Human Demon helped. Ning Lu took a deep breath and secretly broke into a cold sweat for Ning Yu. Under normal circumstances, it would be very difficult for Ning Yu to temper his body with the true dragon's blood, not to mention 2 drops of it. Fortunately, the human demon helped to absorb a portion of the true dragon's blood's effects, leaving only a small portion for Ning Yu to temper his body. Otherwise, even if Ning Yu was a heavenly supreme in his previous life, he wouldn't be able to survive rashly tempering his body with the true dragon's blood. Gulp. On the other side, the cultivator in embroidered clothes couldn't help swallowing a mouthful of saliva. At this moment, the cultivator in embroidered clothes already knew that Ning Yu was using the true dragon's blood. However, the cultivator in embroidered clothes couldn't understand why the human demon would help Ning Yu temper his body with the true dragon's blood instead of killing Ning Yu and obtaining the true dragon's blood. One must know that in their plane, the human demon was an existence that killed without batting an eyelid. Is he not an immortal spirit realm cultivator? Suddenly, the cultivator in embroidered clothes seemed to have thought of something. His entire person became somewhat agitated. Ning Yu wasn't at the immortal spirit realm, and he had reached some sort of agreement with the human demon, so it was very likely that he would be the biggest loser. After all, the human demon didn't seem to have a good relationship with the heartless old elder. Bang! At this moment, another muffled sound came from Ning Yu's body. 7 old. That sound had caused Ning Yu's cultivation to rise from the 6th Grade Earth Sovereign Realm to the 7th Grade Earth Sovereign Realm. Old dragon blood. While devouring the excess true dragon blood in Ning Yu's body, the human devil paid close attention to Ning Yu's body tempering. Rank 7-inch old saint. The saint spirit dragon was realm, the true Chin in the initial view of the demonic human. Even if Ning Yu could persevere, his cultivation would only reach the 7th Grade Earth Sovereign Realm. But looking at it now, Ning Yu had a high chance of reaching the 8th Grade Earth Sovereign Realm. Bang! Reality proved. The human demon was wrong. A few minutes later, when the third sound came from Ning Yu's body, the human demon knew that Ning Yu had reached 8th rank. At this time, the true dragon blood's body tempering was also completed. 2 drops of true dragon blood had helped Huang Xiaolong reach 8th rank from 5th rank, and expelled many impurities. It had to be said that Ning Yu's opportunity was too great. Absorb. Seeing that Ning Yu had completed the body tempering, the human demon quickly retracted his hands from Ning Yu's body and started to use an unknown spell to devour and refine the true dragon blood. Chi. The true dragon blood was extremely terrifying. Even a saint like the human demon didn't dare to be careless. As the human demon devoured and refined the true dragon blood, Ning Lu and the other cultivators didn't even dare to breathe loudly. They held their breaths, afraid that they would disturb the human demon. If anyone disturbed the human demon now, the consequences would be unimaginable. Drip. Time flew by quickly. Ningyu tidied himself up, changed his clothes, and moved to Ning Lu's side. How is it? Did you find anything? Ningyu carefully communicated with Ning Lu. In fact, Ningyu had secretly contacted Ning Lu at the beginning, asking him to pay attention to the human demon and try to find his weakness. There should be some kind of seal in his body. Ning Lu remained calm on the surface, but he secretly sent a voice transmission to Ningyu. Even if the human demon devoured 2 drops of true dragon blood, he won't be able to break the seal in his body. It's just as I guessed. There is indeed a seal in the human demon's body. Ningyu nodded, expressing his agreement with Ning Lu's words. When he was so close to the human devil just now, Ningyu noticed a little clue. There seemed to be a terrifying seal aura in the human demon's body. If Ningyu's guess was correct, the seal in the human demon's body should be one of the 10 great ancient seals. The reason why Ningyu could sense the seal aura in the human demon's body was because Ningyu had seen this kind of seal in his previous life. The 10 great ancient seals, ranked 10th, was the energy seal. The so-called energy seal sealed the energy in a martial artist's body and formed an energy whirlpool inside the martial artist's body. Every once in a while, a huge amount of energy had to fill the whirlpool. Otherwise, the martial artist would die without a doubt. The energy seal had a special characteristic, and that was that it became stronger the stronger it was. If the sealed martial artist was at the Supreme Being realm, then the amount of energy needed to fill the energy seal would be equivalent to the energy in the body of a Supreme Being. If the sealed martial artist was a sage, then the amount of energy needed would be abnormally terrifying. Phew! Just as Ningyu was lost in thought, the human demon let out a breath of turbid air, a relieved expression on his face. Finally solved the problem in my body. Feeling the energy whirlpool in his body shrinking, the human demon wasn't as worried anymore. After devouring the 100-armed ghost demon, the short and fat elder, and now the 2 drops of real dragon's blood, the energy whirlpool in the human demon's body was full. All thanks to the 2 drops of real dragon's blood. Human demon looked around and saw the warriors in brocade clothes and foam. He thought that it was a close shave. The enormous amount of energy contained in the 2 drops of real dragon's blood wasn't something Feng and the rest could compare with. Even if the human demon devoured everyone present, he wouldn't be able to fill the energy whirlpool in his body. Luckily, there were 2 drops of real dragon's blood. Otherwise, the human demon would have been sucked dry by the energy whirlpool. Crack! At the same time, in a dark room in another dimension, an elder slammed his right hand on the chair below him, smashing it into pieces. Crack! The elder stood up abruptly and cracked his knuckles. It's the 3rd time. The elder's eyes were cold as he said fiercely, "You managed to find so much energy in a place like Celestial Spirit Realm where birds don't even shit. It seems like you must have had a miraculous encounter. It seems like I have to contact my disciple." Then, the elder took out a golden token and exerted some force with his right hand. Crack! The token shattered into 2 halves. Chapter 1688. Qilin's skeleton, capture the demonic human? The sudden order in his mind stupefied the cultivator in embroidered clothes. The embroidered-clothed martial artist knew very well that the order that had suddenly appeared in his mind had come from the heartless old man in another plane. In other words, it was his master who had transmitted it to him. However, no matter how one looked at it, this order was a little untimely. The human demon was now a sage. His strength was terrifying. With his current strength, he might not even be able to withstand a single blow from the human devil. The battle prowess of a human demon saint can only last for 3 days? Then it will drop rapidly? Just as the cultivator in embroidered clothes was stunned, another message appeared in his mind. This news caused the embroidered-clothed cultivator to reveal an excited expression. If it was really as Heartless Old Man had said, that the third heavenly demonic descendant's cultivation would rapidly decline, then his chance would come. After all, apart from the human demon, he was the strongest person present. Once the human devil's strength declined, he would become the absolute overlord. I must think of a way to keep human demon and the others here. The warrior in embroidered robes rolled his eyes as he tried to think of a countermeasure. The cultivator in embroidered robes was the owner of the Moling Mountain Range. Due to the agreement he had with some immortal spirit realm cultivators, he didn't dare to leave the Moling Mountain Range so easily. There was only one way to control human devil and the others without leaving the Moling Mountain Range, and that was to make them stay. Many thanks, Senior Human Demon. At this moment, Ningyu came before the human demon and cupped his fists. If it wasn't for Senior Human Demon's help, I wouldn't have been able to refine my physique with the true dragon blood, nor would I be able to reach the 8th grade Earth Sovereign Realm. It's nothing. Besides, you've already paid the price of 2 drops of true dragon blood. The human demon waved his hand and said, "It's just that the deal we made before, I let you do whatever you want in the immortal spirit realm. I might have to honor it later, because I still have something important to do. Senior, feel free to do whatever you want. As for the deal, I don't care." Ningyu did not dare to make any more deals with the human devil. The human devil had already helped him a lot. If it wasn't for the human devil helping him refine his body with the true dragon blood, he would have been suffering the backlash of devouring the true dragon blood alone. How could he have obtained so many benefits? I, the demonic human, am a man of my words. Hearing Ningyu's words, the human devil's face darkened. He said coldly, "In a month, we will meet at the Alchemy Union's headquarters in the Pill Formation continent. When the time comes, I will make your name known throughout the entire Sky Demon region." Without waiting for Ningyu's response, Human Demon's figure flashed as he headed straight for the outskirts of the Moling Mountain Range. Senior. The human demon had only taken a few steps when Ningyu and the warrior in embroidered robes shouted at the same time. After saying this, Ningyu and the warrior in embroidered robes looked at each other. Ningyu's eyes were filled with confusion. He called the human demon because he wanted the human demon to help him deal with the embroidered clothed martial artist. This was to prevent the embroidered clothed martial artist from attacking him after the human demon left. Why did the embroidered clothed martial artist call the demonic human to stop? Ningyu was puzzled. It wasn't just Ningyu who was puzzled. Even Ning Lu and the others were confused. In their hearts, the embroidered clothed martial artist was either rusty or kicked by a donkey. In fact, the embroidered clothed martial artist was also very depressed. He didn't dare to casually respond to the heartless old man's request. He could only summon the human demon and think of a way to make him stay. "You'd better give me a reasonable explanation." The human demon stopped in his tracks and casually swept his gaze over Ningyu. Then, his gaze fell on the embroidered clothed martial artist. "Otherwise, you should know the consequences." On the other side, Ningyu's gaze fell on the human demon. In truth, Ningyu wasn't very clear about the relationship between the human demon and the embroidered clothed martial artist. But judging from the attitude of the human demon when he mentioned the heartless old man, there was definitely some conflict between the two. Ningyu pondered. Just what conflict was there between the human demon and the heartless old man? Could it be that the energy seal in the human demon's body was placed by the heartless old man? Suddenly, Ningyu's pupils constricted as he thought of a terrifying possibility. The human demon didn't want to kill the embroidered clothed martial artist. This meant that he didn't believe that the seal was placed by the heartless old man. Let's wait and see. Soon, Ningyu gave up on guessing. Instead of guessing, he might as well ask the human demon himself. "Senior human demon, if I'm not wrong, you should need a large amount of energy." The embroidered clothed martial artist tried to calm himself down and said as naturally as possible, I'm the owner of the Moling Mountain Range. There are large amounts of immortal crystals where I live. In order to convince the human demon, the embroidered clothed martial artist reached into his robes and took out a storage bag. Whoosh! With a flick of his wrist, the embroidered clothed martial artist threw the storage bag to the human demon. 50 immortal crystals. The human demon casually swept the storage bag and kept it. Even though the energy seal in the human demon's body had stabilized, it wouldn't be long before the seal's next activation. The reason why the human demon said he wanted to go to the Pill Formation Continent's Alchemy Union was to find high-grade pills there to fill the seal's next activation. Now the embroidered clothed martial artist took out 50 immortal crystals. Although it was a drop in the bucket, it was better than nothing. How many immortal crystals are you talking about? The human demon looked at the embroidered clothed martial artist and asked. 1,000. The embroidered clothed martial artist gritted his teeth and said, There are a total of 1,000 immortal crystals where I live. Fuck. Ning Lu cursed when he heard the embroidered clothed martial artist's words. If he'd known that the embroidered clothed martial artist had so many immortal crystals, he would have extorted more than 2 million saint-grade essence crystals and 20 immortal crystals. Not enough. The human demon and Ning Lu were the complete opposite. The human demon shook his head. Do you have true dragon blood or something as good as true dragon blood? I don't have true dragon blood, but I know a place where there's a treasure comparable to true dragon blood. The embroidered clothed martial artist said. As he said this, the embroidered clothed martial artist's heart bled. He'd endured in the Moling Mountain Range for many years, and even turned this place into a forbidden land for one thing, something comparable to true dragon blood. But now, he had to expose that thing in order to keep the human demon here. The embroidered clothed martial artist's expression turned ugly. What thing? The human demon's brows arched. He had to admit that the embroidered clothed martial artist had aroused his desire. Qilin. The embroidered clothed martial artist said in a clear voice. There's a Qilin cave beside my residence, and in the deepest part of the cave, there's a giant Qilin skeleton. Gulp! The embroidered clothed martial artist's words left everyone dumbfounded. They swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Qilin skeleton. Chapter 1689. Swoosh. Swoosh. The human demon stared fixedly at the cultivator's eyes to make sure he wasn't lying. The Qilin skeleton was indeed several times more valuable than true dragon blood. To an ordinary cultivator, the energy contained in true dragon blood couldn't be estimated. But to a powerful cultivator like the human demon, the Qilin skeleton wasn't any worse than true dragon blood. Because there was a high chance of extracting Qilin blood from the skeleton. Compared to true dragon blood, Qilin blood also contained a terrifying amount of energy. You better not lie to me. The human demon took a deep breath and looked at the cultivator. Lead the way, take me to the Qilin cave. Yes. The cultivator hurriedly nodded and headed deeper into the Moling Mountain Range. Ningyu, come with me. The rest of you can go back. The demonic human did not immediately follow behind the cultivator in embroidered clothes. Instead, he gave Ningyu some instructions before leaving. Ningyu didn't expect the human demon to let him follow, so he was momentarily dazed. However, Ningyu was only dazed for a moment. After all, the human demon had asked him to follow, so he had no other choice. However, Ningyu left a few hurried instructions before leaving. Ningyu didn't doubt that they could leave the Moling Mountain Range without a hitch. Before leaving, Ningyu had given them 2 tasks. First, find the Law of Space and take it with them. Second, meet up with Xie Zhe and Grandmaster Xing Yun to ensure their safety. Finished, Ningyu followed closely behind the human demon and disappeared. Qilin Cave. Located in the deepest part of the Moling Mountain Range, next to the cultivator's residence. At this time, in front of the Qilin Cave. Swoosh. 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 3 cultivators appeared at the same time. Ning Yu, the human demon, and the cultivator in embroidered robes. The 3 stared at the pitch-black Qilin cave, none of them speaking. The scene became somewhat silent for a moment. There is indeed a Qilin skeleton inside. The first to break the silence was the human demon. A look of excitement appeared on his face as he looked at the cultivator in embroidered robes and said, "Lead the way." The cultivator in embroidered robes opened his mouth slightly, a look of deep dread on his face. Ever since he had discovered this Qilin cave, the embroidered clothed martial artist had entered it no less than 100 times. Unfortunately, every attempt ended in failure. Now that the human demon had allowed the embroidered-robed cultivator to enter the Qilin cave first, the embroidered-robed cultivator naturally didn't dare to move forward. Humph! Seeing that the embroidered-clothed cultivator had no intention of entering, the demonic human snorted coldly, "You should know the consequences of lying to me." "All right, I'll go in." The warrior in embroidered robes gritted his teeth and moved his feet, entering the Qilin cave first. Sha. The human demon and Ning Yu followed behind the embroidered-robed cultivator. In the pitch-black cave, the brocade-robed cultivator was in front, while Ning Yu and the human demon were at the back. The 3 of them moved forward cautiously. Amongst the 3 of them, the demonic human was a genuine saint. The silk-clothed cultivator's fighting strength was between the pinnacle heavenly sovereign and half-saint realm, and even the weakest, Ning Yu, was an 8th-grade Earth sovereign. They had to be extremely careful in the Qilin cave. From this, one could see just how dangerous the Qilin cave was. Swish! 15 minutes after Ning Yu's group moved forward, the silk-clothed cultivator suddenly came to a stop. The cultivator stood in place, as if he had discovered something terrifying, and even his footsteps began to retreat. "Let's go," the human demon berated. If Ning Yu could see clearly in the pitch-black cave, he would notice that the human demon had an ugly expression on his face. Just what kind of terrifying thing could make the silk-clothed cultivator and the human demon show such expressions? "My Qilin cave." Ning Yu carefully probed with his perception. The moment Ning Yu used his perception, he couldn't help but curse. At this moment, Ning Yu finally understood why the silk-clothed cultivator had stopped, and why the human demon's tone was so cold. Fire Qilin insects. Suddenly, a large number of red insects appeared in front of them. Each of these insects was the size of a fist. Although it was very dark inside the Qilin cave, Ning Yu could still sense the condition of the fire Qilin insects through his perception. The fire Qilin insects grew where the Qilin died. They fed on the Qilin skeleton, blood, and anything related to the Qilin. The fire Qilin insects had a total of 3 forms. The first had a single horn on its head, and was the size of a chicken egg. The second had 2 horns on its head, and was the size of a fist. The fire Qilin insects ahead had clearly reached the second form. As long as the fire Qilin insects could reach the second form, their cultivation would reach the terrifying Sky Supreme realm. Ning Yu roughly estimated that there were several dozen fire Qilin insects in front of them. From the looks of it, if they wanted to reach the deepest part of the Qilin cave, they would have to pass through the fire Qilin insects' territory. "Senior human demon, there are fire Qilin insects in front of us. The last few times I came here, I was always beaten back by them." The silk-clothed cultivator revealed a panicked expression, not daring to move forward. "You already knew that there were fire Qilin insects here, didn't you?" The human demon turned to stare at the silk-clothed cultivator. "Why didn't you tell me?" Boom! Being stared at by the human demon, the silk-clothed cultivator felt like he had fallen into an ice cave. The silk-clothed cultivator understood that if he didn't have a reasonable explanation, the human demon would really kill him. After all, he had already brought the human demon here. For the rest of the journey, the human demon didn't care if he didn't have a reasonable explanation. "I've entered the Qilin cave more than 100 times before, but only once did I see a fire-chilin insect. The silk-clothed cultivator didn't dare to look straight into the human demon's eyes. He gritted his teeth. I felt that there wouldn't be a fire-chilin insect this time, but who would have thought, light up the chilin cave. The human demon interrupted the silk-clothed cultivator. What? The silk-clothed cultivator was a little stunned. I don't want to say it a second time, the human demon coldly said. From the moment he entered the chilin cave until now, the human demon could completely light up the cave himself. However, the human demon didn't do so. This was because the human demon knew that the chilin cave was very special. With his strength, if he wanted to light up the cave, he would need to expend a lot of energy. It wasn't wise to expend so much energy before even seeing the chilin skeleton. Since the silk-clothed cultivator had made a mistake, he would be the one to light the cave. Okay. The silk-clothed cultivator had no choice but to display the energy within his body. Chi. In order to light up the chilin cave, the silk-clothed cultivator didn't hesitate to burn his energy. In fact, burning his energy was the best way to light up the chilin cave. Hiss! Just as the silk-clothed cultivator lit up the chilin cave, Ningyu sucked in a breath of cold air. His perception had discovered several dozen fire-chilin insects, and there were indeed several dozen fire-chilin insects in front of him. However, behind these several dozen fire-chilin insects, there was a single fire-chilin insect the size of a human head. This fire-chilin insect had already reached its third form, the ultimate form of the fire-chilin insect. Chapter 1690. Chapter 1690. Controlling the Insect King, Fire. Fire-chilin Insect King. The silk-robed cultivator stuttered when he saw the huge fire-chilin insect at the back. He even revealed a terrified expression. The silk-robed cultivator's perception was powerful, so he could naturally sense the fire-chilin insect king's cultivation. A half-step saint. The fire-chilin insect king was a half-step saint. However, this half-step saint wasn't the same as an ordinary human half-step saint. Even two human half-step saints might not be a match for it. If even a fire-chilin insect king can be nurtured, it looks like there's more than one chilin skeleton in the chilin cave. The human demon wasn't frightened by the fire-chilin insect king. In fact, he even revealed an excited expression. One had to know that this fire-chilin insect king was a genuine half-step saint. For it to nurture a half-step saint fire-chilin insect king, one could imagine how many chilin skeletons there were in the chilin cave. Leave the fire-chilin bug king to me. You deal with the rest of the fire-chilin bugs. Also, protect Ningyu. The human demon didn't waste any time. He immediately charged toward the army of fire-chilin insects. Are you toying with me? The silk-robed cultivator nearly died from anger when he saw the human demon charge out. The human demon was a saint, so dealing with a half-step saint fire-chilin insect king shouldn't be a problem. However, he was different. Although he was a half-step saint, he could only display the strength of a peak sky supreme. In other words, he couldn't deal with dozens of fire-chilin insects at the same time while ensuring Ningyu's safety. The silk-robed cultivator's eyes turned as he tried to think of a countermeasure. Whoosh! However, time waited for no one. What happened next caused the silk-robed cultivator's expression to change drastically. When the human demon charged into the swarm of fire-chilin insects, dozens of them attacked him in a frenzy. If the fire-chilin insect's target was the human demon, the silk-robed cultivator's expression wouldn't have changed so much. Most importantly, the fire-chilin insects only chased after the human demon for a few seconds before stopping. Because the human demon was already very close to the fire-chilin insect king, the dozens of fire-chilin insects didn't dare approach the human demon out of fear. These fire-chilin beetles didn't dare to approach the fire-chilin beetle king or the human devil, but that didn't mean that they would stay where they were. It was clear that these fire-Kirin insects all turned their heads and rushed towards the embroidered-clothed cultivator and Ningyu. Damn it! Seeing the numerous fire-Qilin insects that were continuously approaching him, the embroidered-clothed martial artist could not help but quietly curse. He immediately pulled Ningyu behind him and said in a deep voice, "You better stay here obediently. Do not go anywhere without my permission." Swoosh! In order to ensure Ningyu's safety, the embroidered-clothed martial artist did not hesitate to use his Yuan Qi to arrange a protective barrier around Ningyu's body. On one hand, the embroidered-robed martial artist had to illuminate the Qilin cave. On the other hand, he had to consume his origin energy to help Ningyu set up a protective barrier. On the other hand, he had to deal with dozens of fire-Kirin insects. With these three matters piled up together, the embroidered-clothed martial artist was unable to voice his bitterness. Fortunately, the embroidered-robed cultivator was a half-sage and had more essence in his body. Otherwise, he would have died if he had to deal with all three at once. Kill. After arranging everything, the embroidered-clothed martial artist completely let loose. He charged into the army of fire-Kirin insects and began a great battle with them. Crack! The embroidered-clothed martial artist was worthy of being a half-sage expert. Although he was unable to display the combat power of a half-sage, he was still able to kill a Sky Supreme fire-Kirin insect in a single exchange. There were dozens of fire-Kirin beetles, each with a cultivation base ranging from early to late Sky Supreme. The embroidered-clothed martial artist killed an early Sky Supreme fire-Kirin insect in one move. Rumble! By killing a fire-Kirin insect, the embroidered-clothed martial artist had completely alerted the enemy. The remaining dozens of fire-Kirin insects knew of the embroidered-clothed martial artist's strength, so they were extremely careful in the following battle. The fire-Kirin insect's caution made the embroidered-clothed martial artist very vexed. He was vexed at his rashness. He had not expected these fire-Kirin insects to have intelligence. If he had known, he definitely would not have alerted the enemy and exposed his strength ahead of time. However, there was no medicine for regret in this world. The embroidered-clothed martial artist could only brace himself and fight with the remaining fire-Kirin insects. The embroidered-clothed martial artist fought with the fire-Kirin insects, while the human demon dealt with the fire-Kirin insect king. In this area, Ningyu was the most carefree. However, Ningyu might look carefree on the surface, but that was not the case. He had been secretly observing the battle between the human demon and the fire-Kirin insect king. In terms of strength, the human demon was definitely stronger than the fire-Kirin insect king. For some reason, the human demon did not choose to use brute force to kill the fire-Kirin insect king. Instead, he chose to slowly tangle with it. I got it. Suddenly, Ningyu thought of a possibility. The reason why the human demon did not choose to defeat the fire-Kirin insect king was definitely because he wanted to subdue it. This was the most likely possibility, and in Ningyu's opinion, it was the only possibility. Why does the human demon want to subdue the fire-Kirin insect king? Ningyu muttered with a slight frown. In truth, subduing the fire-Kirin insect king was a thankless task for Ningyu. Firstly, the human demon was a saint. Although there was an energy seal in his body, with his strength, he could definitely find enough energy before the seal broke. Secondly, subduing the fire-Kirin insect king was simply too difficult. It was even harder than ascending to the heavens. In any case, Ningyu did not believe that the human demon could subdue the fire-Kirin insect king. Dozens of Sky Supreme Realm fire-Kirin insects. Ningyu's gaze shifted from the battle between the human demon and the fire-Kirin insect king to another battlefield. The embroidered-clothed cultivator was worthy of being called a semi-sage expert. He had alerted the fire-Kirin beetles and had put them on guard. But he still had the upper hand. If the situation dragged on like this, There was a high chance that the cultivator in embroidered clothes could defeat or even kill the dozens of fire-Kirin insects. Ning Yu's attention was not on whether the cultivator could kill the fire-Kirin insects, but on how he could devour them. Ning Yu was currently an 8th grade Earth Supreme. If he could devour all of the fire-Kirin insects, there was a high chance that his cultivation would rise to a terrifying 9th grade Earth Supreme. Of course, it was extremely difficult to devour the fire-Kirin insects under such circumstances. Ning Yu was only thinking about it and had no intention of putting it into practice. Crack, crack, crack. Suddenly, a change occurred. Dozens of fire-Kirin insects were originally fighting with the cultivator in embroidered clothes. But soon, the fire-Kirin insects started killing each other. The fire-Kirin insects with higher cultivation frantically devoured the fire-Kirin insects with lower cultivation. In just an instant, more than half of the fire-Kirin insects were devoured. Furthermore, the remaining fire-Kirin insects were decreasing at a visible rate. What's going on? The sudden change confused the brocade-clothed martial artist and Ning Yu. However, this confusion did not last long. Soon, Ning Yu discovered the problem. After the fire-Kirin insects devoured their companions, their strength had a qualitative leap. Chapter 1691. Killing one another. Ning Yu wouldn't be so worried if only one fire-Qilin had reached the peak sky supreme realm. After all, the cultivator in embroidered robes was strong enough to deal with it. The current situation was that the 4 late-stage Sky Supreme fire-Qilin had devoured the remaining fire-Qilin and reached the peak Sky Supreme realm at the same time. 4 peak Sky Supreme fire-Qilin had the ability to fight the cultivator in embroidered robes. Whoosh, whoosh. What happened next made Ning Yu and the cultivator in embroidered robes pale once more. The 4 pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm fire-Qilin insects didn't immediately attack the cultivator, but started to kill each other. The 4 fire-Qilin fought each other in pairs. Swish. Ning Yu and the cultivator in embroidered robes couldn't believe what they were seeing. 1 second passed. 1 second was all it took for the 4 fire-Qilin to decide the victor. 2 fire-Qilin had been devoured, and their cultivation had risen to another level. Not good. Stop them. Ning Yu's eyes narrowed. He immediately yelled at the cultivator in embroidered robes. Once they fuse, their cultivation will most likely reach the half-sage realm. It was no wonder that Ning Yu was so anxious. A half-sage fire-Qilin already had the ability to kill the cultivator in embroidered robes. The human demon was thinking of a way to subdue the fire-Qilin king. If the cultivator in embroidered robes died, he wouldn't be able to bear the consequences. There's no need for you to say that. The cultivator in embroidered robes turned to glare at Ning Yu. His figure flickered as he charged at one of the fire-Qilin. The cultivator's plan was simple. As long as he could kill one of the fire-Qilin, the other one wouldn't be able to devour its companion. While the cultivator was worried, he was also a little excited. There had originally been dozens of fire-Qilin, but after they devoured one another, only 2 remained. Although the remaining fire-Qilin insects were all at the pinnacle heavenly sovereign realm, the cultivator was confident that he could instantly kill a fire-Qilin insect with his trump card. Kill! The warrior in embroidered robes shouted loudly. Immediately, a berserk Yuan Qi surged on his fist and fiercely punched at one of the fire-Kirin insects. Qi. The cultivator in embroidered robes used his trump card, wanting to kill one of the fire-Kirin insects. However, the cultivator in embroidered clothes did not expect that the other fire-Qilin bug would tear through the void and charge at Ning Yu. Not good. The actions of the other fire-Qilin bug caused the embroidered-robed cultivator's expression to change drastically. His entire body even trembled involuntarily. Human Demon had instructed him to protect Ning Yu. Now that a pinnacle heavenly supreme fire-Qilin was charging at Ning Yu, how could he not be afraid? No matter how heaven-defying Ning Yu was, he was only an 8th grade Earth Sovereign. An 8th grade Earth Supreme against a pinnacle heavenly Supreme Realm Fire Qilin insect. In the cultivator's view, Ningyu would definitely die without a doubt. I have to save him. Although he was certain that Ningyu would die, the cultivator still had to go and save him. He had to put on a show that he was going to save Ningyu with all his might. Of course, this show wasn't for Ningyu to see, but for the human demon to see. Ningyu took a deep breath and hurriedly took out the black dragon sword. The Yuan Qi in his sea of consciousness surged as Ningyu, along with his soul power and the demonic lotus flame, poured into the black dragon sword. Originally, Ningyu didn't want to use the demonic lotus flame. After all, it was his trump card, his greatest trump card. However, this was a moment of life and death, so Ningyu couldn't care less. If he could block the Fire Qilin Bug's attack, he could survive. If he couldn't, he would most likely die in battle. Crack! The Fire Qilin Bug was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, it arrived in front of Ningyu. Due to the obstruction of the Yuan Qi protective barrier, the Fire Qilin Bug's speed was somewhat affected. It didn't attack Ningyu immediately. It was this gap that gave Ningyu a chance. After pouring soul power, Yuan Qi, and the demonic lotus flame into the black dragon sword, Ningyu hurriedly brandished the black dragon sword. Cutting the heavens! Along with the two words cutting the heavens, a horrifying sword Qi swept out from the black dragon sword. Crack! After the black dragon sword Qi swept out, the Fire Qilin Bug just happened to break through the Yuan Qi protective barrier. Hence, the sword Qi and the Fire Qilin Bug collided. Rumble! The sword Qi and the Fire Qilin Bug collided. Although it didn't block the Fire Qilin Bug's attack, it completely reduced the Fire Qilin Bug's speed, allowing the cultivator to catch up to the Fire Qilin Bug. Die! The cultivator clenched his right hand into a fist and punched the Fire Qilin Bug's head, sending the Fire Qilin Bug flying back several feet. The cultivator's punch was extremely heavy. Even if it didn't kill the Fire Qilin Bug, it would still cause it to suffer heavy injuries. Poochie! Although the cultivator repelled one of the Fire Qilin Bugs, the other Fire Qilin Bug had quietly arrived behind him. The other Fire Qilin Bug suddenly attacked, using the horn on its head to stab the cultivator's back. Hiss! The intense pain that came from his back made the cultivator involuntarily suck in a breath of cold air. If it was just being stabbed in the back by the Fire Qilin Bug's horn, the cultivator would not be in so much pain. The key was that a drop of highly toxic liquid followed the Fire Qilin Bug's horn and drilled into the cultivator's body. The Fire Qilin Bug had many attacking methods. The toxic liquid on the horn was one of their attacking method. I'm pissed off. The cultivator did not think that he would fall for the Fire Qilin Bug's trick. He gritted his teeth and used all the strength in his body to charge at the Fire Qilin Bug. The toxic liquid contained a very horrifying toxin. In just an instant, the cultivator felt his strength rapidly diminish. The embroidered clothed martial artist wanted to kill this Fire Qilin insect before his strength ran out. Boom! The poisoned cultivator in embroidered clothes used all his trump cards to fight with the Fire Qilin Bug. On the other side, Ningyu had an excited expression on his face. When the black dragon sword Qi came into contact with the Fire Qilin Bug, his demonic lotus flame had quietly entered the Fire Qilin Bug's body. With the Fire Qilin Bug's strength, it should have been able to force out the demonic lotus flame. However, the cultivator's sudden attack did not give the Fire Qilin Bug the chance to force out the demonic lotus flame. This situation had obviously given Ningyu an opportunity. Refine. Ningyu controlled the demonic lotus flame and began to refine the dying Fire Qilin Bug. Although the Fire Qilin Bug was injured, the energy in its body did not decrease. Ningyu was very excited. As long as he could use the demonic lotus flame to refine the Fire Qilin Bug and absorb the energy in the demonic lotus flame, his cultivation would rise to the 9th grade Earth Supreme Realm. It was even possible that his cultivation would rise to the 9th grade Earth Supreme Realm. In the 8th grade Earth Supreme Realm, Ningyu could fight against a mid-sky Supreme Realm martial artist if he used all his trump cards. Chapter 1692. Another breakthrough. Inside the Qilin cave, the human demon was trying to subdue the fire Qilin insect king, while the cultivator was fighting another pinnacle heavenly supreme fire Qilin insect. As for Ningyu, he was controlling the demonic lotus flame to refine the injured fire Qilin insect. What the hell? Although the cultivator was fighting the other pinnacle heavenly supreme fire Qilin insect, his gaze would occasionally shift to Ningyu. After all, the human demon had instructed him to ensure Ningyu's safety. However, when the cultivator in embroidered clothes saw Ningyu's actions, he immediately became angry. He was fighting the fire Qilin insect with all his might to ensure Ningyu's safety. Ningyu, on the other hand, was standing beside the other fire Qilin insect. The cultivator knew that his previous move could only heavily injure the fire Qilin insect, not kill it. Ningyu was only an 8th grade Earth Supreme. Even if the fire Qilin insect was injured, it could still pose a fatal threat to him. "You're really making me worry." The cultivator's face was unsightly. He immediately yelled at Ningyu, "Hurry up and get back here. Be careful of that fire Qilin, whoosh." However, before he could finish the words fire Qilin insect, he stopped abruptly. He saw a cold light shoot out of the fire Qilin insect's body and enter Ningyu's body. The sudden change made the warrior in embroidered robes a little dumbfounded. One must know that the fire Qilin insect was a pinnacle heavenly supreme. Even if it was heavily injured, it wasn't something that an 8th grade Earth Supreme like Ningyu could contend against. However, the current situation had completely exceeded the cultivator's expectations. The cultivator could basically confirm that the cold light that shot out of the fire Qilin insect was the work of Ningyu. After all, the fire Qilin insect was on its last breath. Could probably live for a minute at most. A minute later, the fire Qilin insect would definitely die. Could it be that Ningyu is pretending to be weak? The cultivator in embroidered robes looked at Ningyu and thought of a possibility. Ningyu might be an 8th grade Earth Sovereign on the surface, but his true cultivation couldn't be at the half-saint realm, right? The more he thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. What happened next made the embroidered clothed warrior even more certain of his guess. Ningyu's aura was actually soaring at a speed visible to the naked eye. In just a few seconds, Ningyu's aura had risen to the pinnacle 8th grade Earth Sovereign realm. Moreover, Ningyu's aura was still increasing. According to this speed, it would take at most a few minutes for Ningyu to reach the 9th grade Earth Sovereign realm. Rumble. As the embroidered clothed martial artist fought with the fire Qilin bug, he paid attention to the changes in Ningyu. In the eyes of the cultivators, as long as Ningyu could advance to 9th grade Earth Sovereign, then Ningyu would definitely be pretending to be weak. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, a few minutes had passed. In these few minutes, the human demon did not subdue the fire Qilin bug, and the cultivator did not defeat the pinnacle sky supreme fire Qilin bug. As for Ningyu, he used these few minutes to crazily devour the energy. Bang! 5 minutes later, a muffled sound rang out from Ningyu's sea of consciousness. 9th grade Earth Sovereign Realm. At this moment, Ningyu had advanced to the 9th grade Earth Sovereign Realm. I can continue to advance. Ningyu did not stop cultivating just because he had advanced to the 9th grade Earth Sovereign Realm. Instead, he continued to devour the energy. The energy contained in the pinnacle sky supreme fire Qilin bug was extremely terrifying. Ningyu was currently an initial 9th grade Earth Sovereign Realm Earth Sovereign. If he could devour all the energy, it was very likely that he would advance to the pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign Realm. How could Ningyu miss such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? Ningyu circulated the spirit form art to the extreme and crazily devoured the energy in his body. Sizzle! With the help of the spirit form art, the speed at which Ningyu devoured the energy was extremely fast. It was so fast that it was terrifying. Boom! It didn't take long for Ningyu to completely devour and refine all the energy in his body. After devouring and refining so much energy, Ningyu's cultivation had also smoothly advanced from the initial 9th grade Earth Sovereign Realm to the pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign Realm. My God, my God! The fact that Ningyu had advanced from the 8th grade Earth Sovereign Realm to the pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign Realm in such a short period of time left the cultivator dumbfounded, and he cursed. Although he was prepared in his heart, he was still shocked to see that Ningyu's cultivation had risen in such a short period of time. Whoosh! However, the cultivator in embroidered robes paid the price for his shock. When he was in shock, it was also when his vigilance was at its lowest. The fire Qilin bug seized the opportunity and stabbed him in the back with its horn. Not long ago, the embroidered clothed martial artist had been pierced by the horn of the fire Kirin insect. Now that he was pierced by the horn of the fire Kirin insect again, he immediately felt dizzy and his strength rapidly decreased. It's over. At this moment, the cultivator was dizzy and powerless. Even his consciousness was a little blurry. Damn it, just a little bit more, just a little bit more. The cultivator couldn't help cursing in his heart, feeling extremely vexed. After a period of intense battle, he had heavily injured the fire Qilin bug. At this moment, the fire Qilin bug's fighting strength had fallen from the pinnacle Sky Supreme Realm to the mid-Sky Supreme Realm. As long as the cultivator wasn't injured, the fire Qilin bug could kill a mid-Sky Supreme Realm fire Qilin bug in one move. Master set me up. The cultivator knew that his situation was terrible. On his deathbed, he hated his master, the heartless old man. If it wasn't for the heartless old man telling him to capture the human demon, he wouldn't have tried to stall the human demon for 3 days. If it wasn't for that, he wouldn't have entered the Qilin cave and fought with the fire Qilin bug. As long as he didn't fight the fire Qilin bug, he would be fine. In short, the cultivator pushed all the blame onto his master, the heartless old man. It only has the strength of a mid-Sky Supreme? Ningyu didn't know what the brocade-clothed cultivator was thinking. His attention was completely focused on the fire Qilin bug. From the fire Qilin bug, Ningyu only sensed the aura of a mid-Sky Supreme. He didn't sense the aura of a peak Sky Supreme. In this situation, there was only one possibility. The fire Qilin bug could only display the strength of a mid-Sky Supreme. Thinking of this, Ningyu immediately decided to fight with the fire Qilin bug. The reason why Ningyu chose to fight with the fire Qilin bug was because he had his own considerations. First, if he could kill the fire Qilin bug, he could use the demonic lotus flame to devour the fire Qilin bug's energy for his own cultivation. Second, he wanted to test his strength. After all, he had just advanced from a rank 8 Earth Supreme to a rank 9 Earth Supreme. Attack! Ningyu wasn't an indecisive person. He attacked without hesitation. Before the fire Qilin bug could reach the cultivator, he had already taken the lead and charged at the fire Qilin bug. Kill it! Chapter 1693. Surprise. Sizzle. The sword ray was so fast that it made a sizzling sound as it rubbed against the air. In the blink of an eye, the sword ray arrived between the fire Kirin bug and the cultivator. Whoosh! Without a doubt, under the powerful attack, the fire Kirin bug chose to retreat. The retreat of the fire unicorn bug gave the embroidered clothed martial artist a chance to escape. There was only one chance, and the cultivator grasped it. He used the last of his strength to retreat to the other side. Rumble! Due to losing the target of the embroidered clothed martial artist, the fire unicorn bug vented all its anger on Ningyu. Although it could only display the strength of a mid-stage Sky Supreme, its fighting strength was still terrifying. Ningyu slashed out hundreds of black dragon sword rays, each of which was perfectly dodged by the Fire Kirin bug. Damn it, even a mid-stage Sky Supreme Fire Kirin bug is so hard to deal with. Ningyu's face turned ugly when he saw the Fire Kirin bug dodge his black dragon sword ray. The Fire Kirin bug was different from human cultivators. With the same cultivation level, the Fire Qilin bug could fight 3 or even 4 people at the same time. In other words, a mid-stage Sky Supreme Fire Kirin bug could fight 3 or 4 human cultivators at the same time without being at a disadvantage. I need to find another way to deal with the Fire Kirin bug, Ningyu estimated. Even if he could win in a head-on fight, it would be a Pyrrhic victory. Through the brief exchange, Ningyu had a rough idea of his true fighting strength. He was a peak 9th stage Earth Supreme, so his overall fighting strength should be at the late-stage Sky Supreme level. Ningyu's original intention was to determine his own fighting strength, not to use a Pyrrhic victory to defeat the Fire Kirin bug. Although defeating the Fire Kirin bug would give him a chance to devour its energy, Ningyu was still injured. After all, there was a Qilin skeleton in the deepest part of the Qilin cave. Before seeing the Qilin skeleton, he had to conserve his strength. Who knew? He might have a chance to snatch it. Demonic Lotus Flame. After much consideration, Ningyu decided to use the Demonic Lotus Flame. If the Demonic Lotus Flame could devour the previous Fire Unicorn bug, then it could also devour the current Fire Unicorn bug. The prerequisite was that he could secretly send the Demonic Lotus Flame into the Fire Qilin beetle's body. The situation just now was because the Fire Qilin bug wasn't paying attention. Coupled with the fact that it was heavily injured, it naturally gave Ningyu an opportunity to take advantage of. The situation now was a little different. The Fire Qilin bug wasn't heavily injured, but its cultivation had dropped to mid-stage Sky Supreme. Black Dragon Sword, cut for me. Ningyu thought about it and decided to use the Black Dragon Sword to attract the Fire Unicorn bug's attention. Then, he would think of a way to inject the Demonic Lotus Flame into the Fire Unicorn bug's body so that he could easily control the Fire Unicorn bug. Voila! In order to attract the Fire Unicorn bug's attention, Ningyu slashed out hundreds of Black Dragon Sword Qis. Every single strand of Sword Qi was powerful enough to kill a Sky Supreme. This is too terrifying, isn't it? When the cultivator in embroidered robes saw Ningyu's actions and felt the power of the Black Dragon Sword Qis, he was dumbfounded and even stuttered when he spoke. A pinnacle 9th grade Earth Sovereign could easily kill a Heavenly Supreme with a single slash. What would happen if Ningyu became a Sky Supreme? Wouldn't he be on par with a half-sage? Pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. I wonder which half-sage you are. The cultivator in embroidered robes concluded that Ningyu was pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. But the cultivator in embroidered robes was a little confused. He couldn't guess Ningyu's true identity. When the cultivator in embroidered robes had come from another plane, he had investigated the peerless experts of the immortal spirit realm. Although half-sages were rare, it didn't mean that they didn't exist. In the entire immortal spirit realm, there were still many half-sages. There were even no less than 5 sages. Let's see if you can trap this Fire Qilin bug. The cultivator in embroidered robes stared fixedly at the battlefield. Go! What a coincidence! Not long after the cultivator in embroidered robes turned his attention to the battlefield, a dramatic scene unfolded. Ningyu suddenly threw the Black Dragon Sword. The cultivator in embroidered robes had thought that the Fire Qilin bug wouldn't be afraid of Ningyu throwing the Black Dragon Sword and would attack Ningyu instead. But the reality was that the Fire Qilin bug retreated, as if it had seen its own father when it saw the Black Dragon Sword. If not for the fact that the battlefield was between the demonic human and the Fire Qilin bug king, the Fire Qilin bug would have rushed over to ask for help. Isn't this a little too ridiculous? The cultivator in embroidered robes rubbed his eyes, trying to discern whether the fire Kylan bug was pretending or just scared. The result shocked the cultivator in embroidered robes. The fire Kylan bug was scared. The excessive fright caused the fire Kylan bug to scatter left and right like a headless fly. In the end, the fire Kylan bug had nowhere to run. It could only brace itself and charge towards the fire Kylan bug king to ask for help. If it went to the fire Kylan bug king for help, it might be able to survive. If it didn't go, only death awaited it. For the sake of survival, the fire Kylan bug charged towards the fire Kylan bug king and the dangerous battlefield. Crack! Crack! This spirit of the fire unicorn bug made Ningyu admire it very much. At the same time, Ningyu wanted to laugh. This was because the fire Kylan bug had just charged into another battlefield. Before it could reach the fire Kylan bug king, the demonic human slapped its horns. The demonic human was very gentle towards the fire Kylan bug king because he wanted to subdue it, but he didn't treat the other fire Kylan bugs as well. The two horns on the fire Kylan bug king's head were broken by the demonic human's slap. Hiss! The two horns on its head were broken, causing the fire unicorn bug to tremble in pain. Scram! The demonic human only broke the fire Kylan bug king's horns. He didn't use his full strength to kill it. The demonic human knew very well that the fire Kylan bug king was forced into this state by Ningyu. Even if he wanted to kill it, it should be Ningyu. Whoosh! With a low roar, the demonic human raised his right leg and kicked the fire Kylan bug king far away, right in front of Ningyu. Fire Kylan bug king, my patience has its limits. Kicking the fire Kylan bug king away, the demonic human stared at it and said, I'll give you one last chance. If you don't submit to me, I'll have to kill you. You want me to submit to you? In your next life, the fire Kylan bug king said coldly, not afraid of the demonic human at all. You didn't say anything. I thought you were mute. The demonic human shrugged and said, since you want to submit to me in your next life, I'll have to kill you first and then save you. With that, the demonic human's figure flashed and appeared next to the fire Kylan bug king in the blink of an eye. Before the fire unicorn insect king could react, the human demon stretched out his right hand and slapped the fire unicorn insect king's head. The intense pain on its head made the fire Kylan bug king's expression turn ugly. Retreat. In just an instant, the fire Kylan bug king made up its mind to retreat. Where there's life, there's hope. Chapter 1694. Chapter 1694, A Saint. Screech. In order to avoid the human demon's pursuit, the fire Kirin insect king burned its blood essence to raise its speed to the limit. Whoosh. In the blink of an eye, the fire Kirin insect king disappeared from Ningyu's line of sight. Ningyu was slightly surprised that the human demon didn't chase after the fire Kirin insect king. After all, the human demon had been fighting with the fire Kirin insect king for a long time, trying to control it. Now that the fire Kirin insect king had escaped, it was indeed strange that the human demon didn't chase after it. Looking in the direction the fire Kirin insect king disappeared in, the human demon murmured, the immortal spirit realm is indeed special. No wonder it could attract the attention of the major forces in the upper planes. The immortal spirit realm is special? Although the human demon's voice was soft, Ningyu still heard it. Hearing was one thing, but Ningyu didn't dare to ask why. After all, the human demon was a true saint, while he was only a 9th-grade Earth Supreme. Sigh. The demonic cultivator turned around to look at Ningyu and sighed. Then, he moved towards the embroidered-clothed cultivator. In a few steps, the human demon soon arrived in front of the cultivator. After staring at the cultivator for a few seconds, the human demon's face turned ugly. As a saint, the human demon could naturally see the situation of the cultivator. His Yuan spirit had been injured before, and now he was poisoned by the fire Kirin insect king. It would be hard for the cultivator to recover to his peak state in a short time. After a moment of silence, the human demon decided to leave the cultivator behind. As for him and Ningyu, they would continue deeper into the Qilin cave. The fire Kirin insect king here meant that there must be a large number of Qilin skeletons in the depths of the cave. The human demon definitely wouldn't give up such a good opportunity. Seal. Although the human demon had decided to go deeper into the Qilin cave, he was still worried about the cultivator. Therefore, he grabbed the fire unicorn bug that he had just severely injured and used the fire unicorn bug's energy to arrange a small array formation around the embroidered clothed martial artist. The human demon wasn't stupid. The cultivator had brought him to the Qilin cave, and he, a half-saint, had been injured for no reason. If the warrior in embroidered robes was not stupid, then there was definitely something fishy going on. If it was in the past, the human demon would definitely think of a way to wake up the embroidered-robed martial artist and then bring him deep into the Qilin cave. However, the current situation did not allow the human demon to do so. He had to enter the Qilin cave ahead of time to prevent the Qilin skeleton from being taken by someone else. Ningyu, do you dare to follow me into the depths of the Qilin cave? Human Devil thought about it and decided to ask Ningyu first. If Ningyu didn't want to go, he wouldn't force him. After all, he was well aware that the depths of the Qilin cave were extremely dangerous, so dangerous that even he wasn't completely confident. Why wouldn't I dare? Ningyu stepped forward and said in a deep voice. The greater the danger, the greater the opportunity. Ningyu could faintly feel that he would obtain great benefits from this trip to the Qilin cave. The Qilin cave was indeed dangerous, but with a human demon looking after it, there shouldn't be too much of a problem. At the very least, he could summon the Tower of Yu and hide in its shell. Let's go. Hearing Ningyu's reply, the human demon grabbed Ningyu's shoulder and turned into a blur as he charged into the depths of the Qilin cave. Swish. Within the incomparably dark Qilin cave, Ningyu and the human demon walked side by side. The Qilin cave was originally bright, but after the embroidered-robed martial artist was heavily injured, the entire Qilin cave became incomparably dark. Lighting up the Qilin cave required a large amount of energy, and Ningyu and the human demon's perception wasn't too weak, so they didn't expend any energy to light up the Qilin cave. Stop! After advancing for roughly 10 minutes, the human demon suddenly pulled Ningyu to a stop. What's going on, hiss? Ningyu was slightly taken aback by the human demon's sudden pull. However, before Ningyu could finish his sentence, he sucked in a breath of cold air. This was because not far from him was a middle-aged man in gray robes. The reason why Ningyu was shocked was because he discovered that the middle-aged man's cultivation was also at the Sage Realm. Before entering the Moling Mountain Range, Ningyu hadn't even seen a sage before. But now 2 sages had suddenly appeared, the middle-aged man and the human demon. Moreover, he also saw 2 half-sages, the embroidered-robed martial artist and the fire Qilin insect king. Gulp! Not only was Ningyu shocked, but he even swallowed a mouthful of saliva. If it was just the middle-aged man, Ningyu wouldn't be this shocked. More importantly, there was a fire Qilin insect king on the middle-aged man's shoulder. This fire Qilin insect king was the one that had just fought with the human demon. Although the human demon was a sage, the middle-aged man could stop him. As for the fire Qilin insect king on the middle-aged man's shoulder, only Ningyu could deal with it. How could Ningyu not be shocked? Boom! Inside the pitch-black Qilin cave, the middle-aged man waved his hand and the entire Qilin cave lit up. Trespassing into the Qilin cave. The middle-aged man ignored Ningyu and stared at the human demon. Die, he said coldly. As the word die resounded, the middle-aged man turned into a blur and charged at the human demon. The middle-aged man was a true sage. His first move was a killing move. Get back! Looking at the middle-aged man approaching him, the human demon's face turned solemn. He first pulled Ningyu behind him before charging forward. The human demon sensed a unique aura from the middle-aged man. This aura didn't seem to belong to someone at the celestial spirit realm. Rumble! The battle instantly erupted. Just the shockwaves from the battle between two sages was enough to kill a Sky Supreme. Fortunately, the human demon and the middle-aged man had their own concerns and didn't let the shockwaves spread. Otherwise, Ningyu and the Fire Qilin Insect King would be heavily injured. The human demon was worried about Ningyu's safety, while the middle-aged man was worried about the Fire Qilin Insect King's safety. Therefore, even though the battle erupted, the human demon and the middle-aged man held back and didn't use their full strength. Boom! The battle between the human demon and the middle-aged man only lasted for 3 minutes before a muffled sound came from the surrounding stone walls. Not good, the Qilin ring is about to break out. The middle-aged man's face changed drastically when he heard the muffled sound. Without any time to think, the middle-aged man forced the human demon back and grabbed the Fire Qilin Insect King. Using the sharp horn on its head, he smashed the surrounding stone walls. Whoosh! After all, the Fire Qilin Insect King's body was at the half-sage level. In just one exchange, the surrounding walls were blasted and collapsed. Whoosh! The moment the stone wall collapsed, the middle-aged man immediately darted into the stone wall. Qilin ring. The sudden change made the human demon and Ningyu's faces change drastically. In his previous life, Ningyu had heard of the Qilin ring. It was rumored that as long as one was recognized by the Qilin ring, there was a high chance that they would be recognized by the Qilin and obtain a Qilin mount. The Qilin was an ancient divine beast that was comparable to a dragon. Chapter 1695. Let's go! Let's go! If Ningyu knew about the Qilin ring, then so would the human demon from a higher plane. The human demon would definitely want something as important as the Qilin ring. This time, the human demon didn't have the time to bring Ningyu along. He only left a few words before hurriedly entering the broken stone wall. Screw it! Ningyu's expression was solemn as he struggled with his thoughts. A second later, gritting his teeth, Ningyu followed closely behind the human demon and entered the stone wall. Boom! Just as Ningyu entered the stone wall, his pupils constricted and his head felt like it was going to explode. Qilin aura. Boundless Qilin aura came crashing down on Ningyu. This terrifying aura made Ningyu lose his composure. Ningyu knew very well that if he couldn't block this Qilin aura, he would definitely die here. Gritting his teeth, Ningyu released his essence qi from his body, trying his best to resist the incoming Qilin pressure. Whoosh! With the protection of Yuan qi, the tightness in Ningyu's chest lessened. Ningyu looked left and right. Ningyu was dumbfounded by what he saw. If it was just the Qilin aura, Ningyu wouldn't have such an expression. The most ridiculous thing was that he found himself in a long and narrow tunnel. The first few hundred meters of the tunnel were shrouded by the Qilin aura, while the rest of the tunnel was filled with formations of various sizes. Within a few hundred meters of the Qilin aura, the middle-aged man, the Fire Qilin Insect King, and the human demon were walking side by side. However, their speed was obviously very slow. The Qilin aura in front was something even a sage would find hard to pass. The formations at the back were probably not weak. Under such circumstances, Ningyu would definitely be dumbfounded. What should I do? Ningyu's eyes turned as he quickly thought of a countermeasure. Given the current situation, Ningyu only had two choices: retreat or advance. If he retreated, he would have no fate with the Qilin ring. If they continued forward, they might not be able to withstand the Qilin's pressure and die on the road. Where there's life, there's hope. After some thought, Ningyu decided to retreat. Ningyu would definitely not do something that was clearly suicide. If he did it, then what was the difference between him and an idiot? Ningyu was not an idiot. He would not make unnecessary sacrifices. Dong. However, what happened next made Ningyu dumbfounded on the spot. He could no longer remain calm. His path of retreat was blocked by a huge rock. The stone perfectly fit the gap in the stone wall, perfectly blocking the gap. Open. In order to leave, Ningyu used all his strength to resist the Qilin aura and tried to push the stone away. Unfortunately, no matter how hard Ningyu tried, he could not push the stone away. In fact, the stone did not move at all. Drip, drip. Furthermore, as time passed, Ningyu realized that the Qilin aura behind him was getting more and more terrifying. Even with his essence qi, beads of sweat dripped from his forehead continuously. The consecutive events forced Ningyu to continue forward. I don't believe it. Ningyu tried his best to lift his right leg and move forward step by step. Although Ningyu's speed was very slow, he was indeed moving forward. There was no turning back. Ningyu knew that if he wanted to live, he had to be faster than the Qilin aura behind him. If he was a little slower, he might die under the Qilin aura. For the first dozen meters, Ningyu was still smooth. He did not show a particularly painful expression. But as he continued deeper, Ningyu's clothes were drenched in sweat. His legs felt like they were being pressed by thousands of kilograms of rocks. Every step was abnormally difficult. Although it was difficult, Ningyu had to grit his teeth and persevere. Under the threat of death, Ningyu erupted with astonishing strength. Even if his clothes were drenched in sweat, even if his bones gave off cracking sounds, he still continued forward. Advancing under this kind of immense pressure was not only detrimental to Ningyu, but it was also very beneficial. In other words, if Ningyu could successfully pass through this Qilin road, his willpower and physique would have a huge improvement. Ningyu knew this, so he gritted his teeth and persevered. Ha ha ha! Behind him, Ningyu continued to persevere. Up ahead, the middle-aged man turned back to glance at Ningyu, then laughed at the human demon. That useless human you brought actually dares to recklessly follow us. Swish. Hearing the middle-aged man's words, the human demon's expression changed, and he hurriedly turned back. Oh no! The moment the human demon saw Ningyu struggling forward, he could no longer remain calm. Although he could not take Ningyu as a disciple, the human demon was still very grateful to Ningyu. He did not want Ningyu to die. After all, Ningyu had given him true dragon blood, allowing him to survive the energy seal's explosion. To be precise, if not for Ningyu, he would have long since died. Damn it! The human demon cursed inwardly, then turned around and walked step by step towards Ningyu. It was obvious that the human demon wanted to get close to Ningyu and use his sage aura to protect Ningyu. You better think it through. The Qilin road is very difficult. Even if you can save him, you will be heavily injured. Seeing the human demon's actions, the middle-aged man kindly reminded, I will leave the Fire Qilin Bug King at the end of the Qilin road. If you and that piece of trash are lucky enough to pass the Qilin road, I will give you a big gift. On the surface, the middle-aged man was warning the human demon, but in reality, he was provoking him. Hearing the middle-aged man's words, the human demon immediately coughed up a mouthful of blood. The human demon had already suffered a lot from the Qilin's aura when he turned around, and now with the middle-aged man's actions, he was directly injured. Let me give you one last piece of advice, don't. No. The middle-aged man shrugged. He wanted to give the human demon one last warning, but to his horror, he found that Ningyu's speed had increased. Swish. In the beginning, Ningyu had been moving forward with difficulty, but now he was jogging. Not only was he jogging, but Ningyu was also running and increasing his speed at the same time. The middle-aged man had never seen or heard of someone running so fast on the Qilin road. The middle-aged man had wanted to trick the human demon, but who knew that Ningyu's sudden acceleration would cause the human demon to trick him instead? Because all his attention was on Ningyu, The middle-aged man was careless and was injured by the Qilin's aura. He coughed up a mouthful of blood on the spot, and his face turned pale. "This is impossible." Wiping the blood from the corner of his mouth, the middle-aged man's eyes widened as he exclaimed, "How can there be such a freak in the immortal spirit region? Even in a higher realm, there is no one who can run at this speed on the Qilin road." Chapter 1696. True Dragon Pressure. True Dragon Blood. The middle-aged man did not know how Ningyu did it, but Ningyu was very clear about it. At the start, Ningyu had indeed felt the immense pressure from the Qilin pressure and was on the verge of collapsing. Suddenly, the true dragon's blood on his body emitted a frightening, oppressive might. True dragons were existences on the same level as Qilin's. The true dragon pressure was not any weaker than the Qilin pressure. With the protection of the true dragon pressure, Ningyu naturally felt no pressure. Without the pressure, Ningyu instantly increased his speed. In practically the blink of an eye, he passed through half of the Qilin road. The reason why Ningyu raised his speed to the limit was not because he wanted to pass the Qilin road before the middle-aged man, but because he discovered that his only drop of true dragon blood was actually evaporating rapidly. The true dragon blood could emit the true dragon pressure, but every minute and every second required a large amount of energy. Ningyu was only left with one drop of true dragon blood. He naturally did not want to waste it for no reason. Hence, Ningyu used all the strength he had. Whoosh! Another few seconds passed. Ningyu had already reached the human demon's side. Furthermore, Ningyu also helped the human demon along the way. He dispersed some of the true dragon pressure on his body to help the human demon resist the Qilin pressure. This, sensing the true dragon pressure emanating from Ningyu, the human demon's mouth gaped open in shock. However, this kind of shock quickly disappeared. The human demon was very clear that Ningyu had just experienced 2 drops of true dragon blood tempering his body. It was completely reasonable for there to be some true dragon blood left in his body. Thinking of this, the human demon collected his thoughts and began to recuperate with all his might. Even if they passed through the Qilin road, there was still a long array path to pass through. The human demon did not dare to slack off. The current situation was already very clear. Between them and the middle-aged man, whoever passed through the Qilin road and the array path first would have the highest chance of obtaining the Qilin ring. Possessing the Qilin ring meant having the chance to subdue a Qilin. The human demon naturally did not want to miss this opportunity. Swish! Whoosh! Under the protection of the true dragon's pressure, Ningyu and the human demon's speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, they arrived beside the middle-aged man and the Fire Kirin Insect King. Go! The original Devil Lord wanted to attack the middle-aged man, but then he remembered that this was the Qilin road. If he attacked the middle-aged man rashly, it was highly likely that he would make a mistake. In order to ensure that he could pass through the array formation first, the human demon decided not to attack the middle-aged man for the time being. Instead, he decided to pass through the array formation first. Although they couldn't attack the middle-aged man, human demon and Ningyu still looked at him with disdain. Damn it! Seeing Ningyu and the human demon's disdainful gazes, the middle-aged man cursed in anger. However, the middle-aged man was well aware of the current situation, so he forcibly suppressed his urge to attack. The human demon had misgivings, and the middle-aged man naturally had misgivings as well. In the Qilin road, whoever attacked first would be the first to suffer a calamity. Therefore, the middle-aged man allowed Ningyu and human demon to mock him. He did not respond and only cursed under his breath. Go! Taking a deep breath, the middle-aged man glared fiercely at the Fire Qilin Bug King. Then, he quickly moved forward, wanting to pass through the Qilin road as soon as possible. What happened next could be imagined even with one's toes. When the human demon and Ningyu passed through the Qilin road, The middle-aged man and the fire-Chelan bug king were still a third of the way. Stay close to me. I'll bring you through the array formation. The human demon protected Ningyu by his side. Using his powerful perception, he began to force his way through the array formation. I'm going to break through. At first, the human demon led Ningyu through the array formation. There was no array formation that could stop them. But as they continued forward, Ningyu finally cursed. Ningyu thought that the human demon understood the Tao of array formations. Who would have thought that the human demon didn't know anything? The reason why the human demon could pass through the first half of the array formation was because of his terrifying perception. Sage-like perception could help them pass through the first half of the array formation, but not the second half. Senior human demon. Ningyu swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Looking at the array formation in front of him, then back at the human demon, he asked in confusion, "You don't understand the Tao of array formations? What Tao of array formations? As long as we're strong enough, no array formation can trap us." The human demon waved his hand, exuding a strong sense of confidence. Then, the human demon unleashed his sage aura, wanting to use brute force to break through the array formation in front of him. Ah! Just as the human demon unleashed his sage aura, the middle-aged man's wild laughter came from behind. Before long, the middle-aged man and the fire-Chelan bug king arrived in front of the human demon and Ningyu. The corner of the middle-aged man's mouth curled up as he swept a disdainful glance over Ningyu and the human demon. Don't think that the array formation is easy to pass. To tell you the truth, in the array formation, even a dragon has to coil up and a tiger has to lie down. Humph. If we can't pass through the array formation, then neither can you. Ningyu harumphed coldly. If you can't pass through the array formation, then I'd like to see how you'll get the Chelan ring. Can I assume that you're threatening me? The middle-aged man raised an eyebrow and looked at Ningyu with interest. Those who threaten me never end well. If you must think that way, then there's nothing I can do about it. Ningyu shrugged, unafraid of the middle-aged man's threat. The fact that the middle-aged man did not attack immediately meant that he was afraid of the human demon. With the human demon here, Ningyu would not be afraid of the middle-aged man. Very well, very well. Hearing Ningyu speak to him like this, the middle-aged man's face turned extremely cold. In fact, he even had the urge to attack at this moment. However, after looking at the human demon and the array formation behind him, the middle-aged man forcibly dispelled the impulse. We can't pass through the array formation, and neither can the two of you. How about we make a deal? Taking a deep breath, the middle-aged man's gaze fell on the human demon. I'll be in charge of breaking the array formation, and you'll be in charge of protecting us with your sage aura. Deal. The human demon did not think too much and immediately agreed to the middle-aged man's proposal. The middle-aged man did not expect the human demon to agree so readily. He originally thought that the human demon would have to think about it. Who would have thought that the human demon would agree on the spot? The middle-aged man did not stay in a daze for long. He quickly reacted and moved his feet to the array formation. Waving his hands, the middle-aged man began to break the first troublesome array formation. Boom! The human demon did not understand array formations, and his attainments in array formations were not as good as Ningyu's. However, the middle-aged man knew array formations, and his attainments in array formations far exceeded Ningyu's. In fact, he was even more terrifying than Grandmaster Zhao. Only 10 seconds passed. The first troublesome array formation was broken by the middle-aged man. Whoosh! As soon as the array formation was broken, the space around it suddenly split open. Several cold lights shot out from the void, attacking Ningyu's group. Chapter 1697. Snatch. Damn it, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and stop those rays, or we'll all die. The middle-aged man cursed when he saw the human demon's indifference. The middle-aged man had expended a lot of his energy to break the first formation. In his current state, even if he could block the attack of the rays, he wouldn't be able to break the later formations. This was also the reason why the middle-aged man was working with the human demon. Now that the human demon had no intention of helping, how could the middle-aged man not be angry? "Don't panic, I just want to see how powerful these rays are." The human demon waved his hand, signaling the middle-aged man not to panic. Actually, even if the middle-aged man didn't say anything, the human demon would have stopped the rays. After all, the human demon's attainments in formations were terrible. He needed the middle-aged man's help to pass through the formation. The human demon didn't stop the rays immediately because he wanted them to exhaust the Fire Kirin King's strength. At the very least, he wanted the Fire Kirin King's strength to fall to Ningyu's level. Otherwise, even if he could pass through the formation, the human demon wouldn't be able to fight the middle-aged man for the Qilin ring. Reality proved that the human demon's idea was correct. Since he didn't stop the rays immediately and the Fire Kirin King was the closest to the rays, the Fire Kirin King was struck and vomited a mouthful of blood. "What are you waiting for?" The middle-aged man roared when he saw the Fire Kirin King was heavily injured. The human demon glanced at the middle-aged man and moved, displaying his powerful sage aura to resist the rays. Under the pressure of the human demon's powerful aura, the rays that shot out from the void were instantly disintegrated. "What is the meaning of this?" After the rays disappeared, the middle-aged man first checked the Fire Kirin King's injuries before glaring at the human demon. "I've been trying my best to break the formation, but you've been playing tricks behind my back." The middle-aged man was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. If it wasn't for the Qilin ring, the middle-aged man would have made his move long ago. "Do you think I'm a fool?" The human demon rolled his eyes and said, "The Fire Qilin King is a half-saint. Do you think we can rest assured if its cultivation doesn't decline to the same level as Ningyu? Use your pig brain to think about it. Once we leave the path of the array formation, you will definitely let the Fire Qilin Insect King snatch the Qilin ring. What will I do then?" Was he going to let a 9th-grade Earth sovereign like Ningyu compete with a half-saint Fire Qilin Insect King? Wake up. Caw-caw. After listening to the human demon's reasonable analysis, the middle-aged man clenched his fists, making cracking sounds. "You don't have to waste your energy. I will suppress the Fire Qilin Insect King's cultivation to the 9th-grade Earth Supreme Realm." As soon as the man in the middle finished speaking, he immediately dashed out and grabbed the horn on the head of the Fire Unicorn Insect King. "Gotcha! Gotcha! Gotcha!" The middle-aged man continued to exert force, directly breaking the Fire Unicorn Insect King's 3 horns. Buzz! After the horn on its head was broken, the Fire Unicorn Insect King's aura began to plummet. In just a short period of time, the aura of the Fire Qilin Insect King had fallen from the quasi-saint realm to the pinnacle 9th-grade Earth Sovereign realm. "Are you satisfied now?" The middle-aged man placed the 3 horns of the Fire Qilin Insect King into his bosom and coldly said to the human demon, "I hope you won't play any tricks later. Otherwise, even if I can't pass through the array formation and obtain the Qilin ring, I will still fight you to the death. Rest assured, I know what's important." The human demon lightly smiled. "I hope that you can keep your promise." The middle-aged man coldly glanced at the human demon, then turned around and started to break the second array. Rumble! The middle-aged man's attainments in formations were indeed terrifying to the extreme. Although it took longer than the first array, he still managed to break the second array within 3 minutes. Whoosh! 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 As soon as the second formation was broken, the void suddenly split open, and several cold lights flew out at an extremely fast speed. This time, the human demon did not wait. In that instant when the cold lights flew out, he had already unleashed the aura of a saint. Under the suppression of the aura of a saint, the cold lights swiftly disappeared. At least you're tactful. Seeing that the human demon was so efficient, the middle-aged man's face turned gloomy. After resting for a few minutes, the middle-aged man started to break the array once again. Very quickly, the third formation was broken. In the next period of time, the middle-aged man focused on breaking the array, while the human demon did his best to resist the cold lights. Everything was going according to the original plan. The narrow array path couldn't obstruct the human demon and the middle-aged man's party. Half an hour later, when the last array was broken, Ning Yu's party had successfully passed through the array path. Qilin Ring. As soon as he passed through the formation, the middle-aged man's eyes flashed with a cold light and a look of surprise appeared on his face. Before them was a massive Qilin skeleton. On the back of the Qilin skeleton, there was a golden ring that wasn't too big. Without a doubt, this golden ring was the Qilin ring. This is the Qilin ring? Feeling the terrifying pressure from the Qilin ring, Ning Yu couldn't help narrowing his eyes, his expression extremely grave. For some reason, Ning Yu felt a trace of a connection between him and the Qilin ring. Although this connection was very weak, Ning Yu still sensed it. Something's not right. Suddenly, Ning Yu's already grave expression turned even graver. This was because Ning Yu realized that the connection between him and the Qilin ring wasn't established on his body, but on the Tower of Yuzuan. It was established on the little girl in the Tower of Yuzuan. In other words, the Qilin ring was communicating with him through the little girl in the Tower of Yuzuan. Could the little girl in the Tower of Yuzuan be related to the Qilin clan? Ning Yu's mouth fell open in disbelief. In truth, this wasn't impossible. After all, the black-clothed cultivator had seriously explained before leaving with the crystal coffin. He said that the golden-haired girl in the Tower of Yuzuan had a very special identity. If anything happened to her, the consequences weren't something that Ning Yu could bear. Now that the Qilin ring had established a connection with Ning Yu through the golden-haired girl, it made Ning Yu even more certain that the golden-haired girl was related to the Qilin clan, and it was a very significant relationship. However, there was one point that left Ning Yu puzzled. Since the golden-haired girl was related to the other group, why hadn't the golden-haired girl woken up until now? Fire Qilin Insect King, hurry up and snatch the Qilin ring for me. Just as Ning Yu was pondering, the middle-aged man suddenly shouted. The middle-aged man was very smart. He knew that if he took the initiative, the human demon would definitely stop him. Rather than fight with the human demon here, he might as well let the Fire Qilin Insect King make the first move while he was responsible for stopping the human demon. As long as the human demon didn't make a move, he was confident that he could seize the Qilin ring through the Fire Qilin Insect King. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.